everybody. We should have audio. Everything looks good. Welcome to the playground. I'm Pixie Phoenix. I'm a full-time variety streamer here on Twitch. Tonight we are playing Vampire the Masquerade. This is our session 58. I'm joined tonight by Nox, our storyteller, Zack, who plays Victor. I'm your Alice.
Hello.
And we're waiting for our Martha. So, how's everybody been doing? How was your weekend? Let me know in chat. We always respond. Um, how have you guys been? I know how's he's been with me all damn day. And but yeah, Nox, how was your weekend?
Oh, I spent a lot of time playing Cyberpunk for my wife and recovering from work until
Mm.
the very, very late shift. And now we're waiting on Martha.
Well, that's for
I
me.
guess
I've been. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I guess this would be an appropriate time to do a recap for the events of last week.
Yes.
Since both the audience and our Alice could not be here.
Yep.
Yeah, we did have a session last week. It was just not streamed because Alice was in the middle of a huge migraine.
4-day migraine.
Yeah, it started Sunday night, and I think it was Thursday before she was back and up and able to do anything again.
Pretty much.
So yeah, Monday night was not streamed, but there was a duo session between me and Martha. In fact, I commented at the end. I think that was the first duo session that me and Martha had, and it was.
That was true.
That was the first. I've done duos with you, and I've done duos with Idaho, but I had never done a duo session with Martha before. So last week was our first duo session with Martha, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was in the recap. You'll see why.
So, with Alice working the bar, the pair of Vic and Michael headed out to go follow up on a lead that Vic had gotten regarding a fighter named Alphonse, who looked like he might have been a viable candidate. Heading to a gym called Philly West Hustle, Michael found himself with a bit of a puppy dog in the guise of a roided out dude named Russell. Heading to the back, Vic got to see Alphonse fight a much smaller man who, despite being very outclassed and outsized, fought back with everything he had, although he did eventually succumb. Deciding to test the guy out and get into a brawl with him to kind of see how he handled himself. Vic very quickly found that the fighter in question, Alphonse, was a bit of a sore loser. And it was backed up by his own.
He was also a very dirty fighter.
Yeah.
He fought dirty. Like he was doing hidden kidney punches and stuff like that. You know, stuff that wouldn't necessarily be called out by the ref, but would definitely impact, you know, whoever he was fighting in detrimental ways.
Not good.
Yeah.
So eventually, Vic came out on top and was treated to a barrage of insults and you cheated and blah, blah, blah. Well, he was congratulated by the smaller man who had fought Alphonse previously, Jack. Elsewhere in the building, Michael had stumbled across his own private Amazon and stumbled upon a woman who was deadlifting nearly 500 pounds named Wisteria, who goes by Westy. Vic handed his card to Jack. Michael handed his card off to Westy, and they attempted to leave. But they didn't get very far in the parking lot before Alphonse and his group of thugs decided to show up and attempt to start shit, which led to a very, very, very short-lived rematch in the parking lot where Vic very promptly turned the guy's attempt to football style tackle him into a straight up like WWE style power bomb, dropping the guy right on his fucking head.
Well, to step back just a little bit, I made it known that when I was in the ring with him that I was holding back, that I was making it seem like I was just going to win by a hair, just going to win by just the margin. I was just kind of testing him out. So when he met me in the parking lot, I started off by saying, hey, just to let you know, man, I held off and I was holding back in the ring. I'm just warning you. And he still came at me. So he got the full force of Vic on the second encounter.
Leaving him unconscious, but not dead. The duo headed back to the club. Excuse me, they did not head straight back to the club. They headed back to Ten Toes, where they did some further investigating, although they didn't really come up with anything solid. Heading back to the club, they checked in with Jen with 2 N's, who they, for her first night on the job, put her in charge of cleaning up the cell that Raul had been occupying.
Her and Clyde were cleaning.
Must have been desperate for a job then.
Which prompted, as she was leaving for the evening, for her to ask some rather pointed questions to Michael about the Malkavian behind the bar. Elsewhere, Michael contacted Sabine and Vic contacted Madison, both of them looking for leads on potential help that they could get. And both sides were pleasantly surprised when Sabine said that she knew somebody she could send over to assist, as did Madison. And that is where session 57 left off.
So the whole session was just kicking ass?
Kind of. Well, recruiting. It was meant to be a recruiting session.
Meant?
Yeah, I mean, we had to recruit bouncers. Like actually, for me to recruit a Bruja, it's gonna be a kicking ass session.
I know. Not fun though. I missed out.
Oh, help was needed in the bar, so you were there at the bar.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I always feel a little out of character if I'm not Alice, the whole. But yeah, I just wasn't up for it today.
Or last week.
2 different reasons, but yeah. But at least I'm here today. That's the difference. Whether I'm in uniform or not.
Oh, you're just saying you weren't up for dressing up or getting pretty.
Yeah.
Right. Just because of. Yeah, today was a draining day. Without going into detail, me and Pixie had a pretty draining day this morning, but we're here.
And found out that my eyes are getting worse.
She's gonna need some progressive lenses, which are kind of like the new bifocals. and those lenses are not cheap. So I was able to pay for half of them today, but I'll have to pay for the other half when we go pick them up. But
All right. Well, since Martha's running a little late.
Oh,
oh,
Right on time.
it's Michael.
Say what now?
He was just saying, since Martha's running a little bit late, and then you popped on as soon as he said that, so we were like, oh, it's Michael. Great timing. We just finished recapping our session from last week.
Huzzah!
Huzzah. Oh, and we lost Knox.
Yep. Of course we did. Of course we did.
No, don't knock my phone over.
Okay.
But I want to.
That was really, really weird. All right. Welcome, everybody, to our Monday night Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition Chronicle, Philadelphia Night, Session 58. So, with the recap already out of the way for last week, it is a warm evening in Philadelphia. Not as hot as it's been, but it is certainly not a... It is no longer in that confusing time period between spring and winter. It is now well on its way to summer, and everybody's t-shirts, shorts, and everybody's sweating. So, Alice, you wake a little early as normal. What are you doing? What is your first set of actions for this evening?
Trying to remember what was on my agenda. Echo. I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what I was up to.
Speak first.
I'm trying to remember where. I know where we left. We kind of were leaving the Ruby thing behind for now to focus on staffing.
Oh, she is the staffing. She's now Jen with two N's, if you remember. She's now part of our staff. She was the one downstairs with Clyde cleaning up all the shit from
right. But I've been out a bit. I'm trying to refocus.
There really hasn't been much progression with her and you since your last session, because she came in kind of at the end of the last session you were in.
Okay.
And then in the one you missed, like I said, she was just kind of downstairs cleaning up the shit show with
and
Clyde,
remind me, she is full vamp.
She's the
what is?
She's full vamp and was the one that Diablerized. Well, I don't know for sure. I'm just saying she looks exactly like Ruby and is now like all dark. So I'm thinking that this is Ruby post. But
well, yeah, we'll see.
Out of game, I don't know. That's just my character's.
Well, then I would probably make it a point to if she's.
So if you're asking about Jen with two N's, yes, she is a full kindred.
Okay.
You've seen her fangs.
That's right. Okay.
But Ruby was on full kindred once she diablerized Shaw.
Okay, so I think my agenda would just be to check my phone and social media. Still trying to decide, how I feel about this Jen. Could she be the Ruby? Is this someone else? I want to still keep my feelers out there in case There is some
Michael has
little
a
news.
bit of a suspicion this might be a copy, like the guy that we released and the guy with the shadows and the snapping of the blood magic.
So I'm kind of
So that's
keeping
why he
my feet
didn't
in
really
both
want her
sides.
going into too many details in the club and the structure of said places, because he doesn't know what's going on really. He doesn't really trust it. It's too on the nose.
Yeah, so I would probably be just kind of checking all those things and then heading over to the club, see who's arrived to help prep
Oh,
until the crew is up and moving.
the other thing that might have been just slightly missing the recap was at the very end. I texted Madison, my daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
let her know that we were working on staffing at the club, and she said she was going to send a bar back over tonight.
Okay.
So she said that we should have a new bar back tonight.
So I'll probably go over
So
in wait of that person and get them started.
So when you head over there, it's the sun is still up when you get over there. When you get to the club, Lane is already there working. Romano's at the door. He kind of waves at you when you come in. Um, Robin is still looking sad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she shouldn't. Michael bet on her.
Yeah, you
even
feeding
after,
on, but that's not, yeah, but that's not how that works. You feeding on
doesn't break
her
the bond. Yeah.
doesn't break. Isn't that's
Yeah.
you have to give her your blood.
Yeah, but my lingering kiss exists.
Do you have lingering kiss? I don't think you got lingering kiss.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the because the last time we had a discussion about the different abilities because I remember because that was something that happened. You guys were both asking questions about disciplines, like if you got like
I thought it was a part of like being my kind of vampire that like my kiss is like ecstatic and orgasmic.
no, that's an
But in the
ability.
moment, right?
No, that's an ability. That's a presence ability.
Okay.
You don't have.
Okay.
You could get it with your next point.
God, I haven't even looked at my XP in forever.
And that's another thing, Al, we discovered last week. It was post game when we were just asking about abilities.
Mm-hmm.
When you gain a point in one of your main disciplines, you don't have to choose the skill from that level. You can choose any ones from the lower levels that you bypassed on the way up, and you can gain more than 5 points in a discipline in order to catch up like all those abilities. So yes, the XP amount is massive for anything beyond. But
Yeah, and we discussed that because after you get into because it's 5 points for in clan skills, 7 points for out of clan skills. Once you get past going from 5 points to 6 points is an additional 30 XP. From 6 to 7 points there's another 30. So that's almost 70 XP, which is almost as much XP as you've earned in this entire campaign. So
Yeah,
far.
I'm sitting on
so
90 total. I've only got 16
like
right
just as an
now.
example, my presence is at a 1 point, and I only have Daunt. But if I put another, if I put XP for another point in that, I don't have to choose the level 2 power. I could actually choose the other level 1 power, which is awe.
Which is
instead.
which is what Michael has. That's actually
Right.
Michael has
So
awe
Michael
and
has
daunt.
Daunt and awe, and that was how
By the
he
way,
was able to do that.
has my willpower not?
I need to
Okay. I
reset.
was like, wait a minute,
So
what did I
yeah,
do?
we can go into that in more detail later, but I
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that was one of the post game discussions that came up last week as far as disciplines and XP goes, and that was an eye opener.
I can see why you would be a little worried as you didn't have any.
I have 2. I think I'm good for tonight. I can do 2.
Jesus Christ. So you get to this house. You get to the club. When you get to the club, like I said, Robin is still looking kind of mopey, but everybody else is there, kind of getting ready. When you walk downstairs to head to the bar, Lane is like, so I've heard you're getting a new bar back, or that somebody is coming down here to help us. Has anything said anything to you?
Just, news through the grapevine. So I came over a little early to see if we need to train/initiate.
Lane's like, I'm all for help. We desperately need the help right now. But
Hmm.
she goes, I know you know, she goes, I have to speak up and be like, we don't know these people. They don't know us. She's like, this could be really dangerous for us.
Well, no shit, but I mean, the alternative?
She nods. She goes, I just wanted to say something to somebody before to make sure that
Well, that's why we all just need to be on, have our eyes wide open, observe these newbies. If anything stands out, anything weird, just report to us.
she's like, you mean other than the fact that one of them looks just like your ex?
Paramore.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for bringing that up at the beginning of my shift.
She's like, that's really fucking weird.
Yeah, no shit. But I mean, they
What if
they
it is
say
her?
that they are this other person, and until I can cozy up and kind of start working my conversation, I'm not going to find anything out, am I? So standing here worrying about it doesn't do me any good.
She's like, I hate to tell you something, but you're my roomie, among other things. She's like, I'm gonna worry about you.
I appreciate it. It's not I come off as cold, I know, and it is always appreciated. I know you've always had my back, and I will always have yours. And you've helped tremendously through this whole fucking relationship with this crazy ass girl. So, of course, I do understand your concern and your shock. You can't live with somebody for months on end and not have something like this completely throw you. So maybe maybe you can be my backup. When I'm not around, you keep an eye and, like I said, just kind of work that conversation. Pry for some personal things. See what we get.
She kind of thinks about it, and she's like, yeah, well, I've seen the way she looks at you. She's definitely looking to pry some things out of you. Either that, or she wants you to use those fucking stupid-looking pigtails as handlebars.
Well, I mean, can you blame them?
She shakes her head and walks back to the bar, and you can hear a vague muttering.
Mm.
Vic, when you wake up, what is the first thing that you do?
I don't think I really had too much to do personally. I think I was just gonna head over to the club and just see, if anybody bothered to show up for any job interviews or anything like that, or see if anything needs to be cleaned up, or if Robin's bar is ready to go, or if it still needs some work.
When you get over there, everything seems to be, with the staff you've got, everything seems to be kind of in order. About the same time that you show up, Harvey shows up, and he walks up to you and he goes, "So, heard about your run-in with Alphonse?"
Yeah, he was a dick.
He says, "Yeah, he feels the same about you and is apparently out for you."
Oh, good. He wants another concrete brownie. That's great. I'll give it to him.
He holds up a YouTube video of Alphonse thugging out in the gym, doing the whole, sitting on a bench, his wide stance, his elbows on his knees, his hands wrapped up with, the rope.
Listening to Olivia Newton-John.
and there's a long rambling.
How's his face look?
Bullshit. Oh, it is pretty obvious now to somebody who doesn't know exactly what happened to him. It probably wouldn't be all that obvious what's going on, but you, knowing what you've done, realize that the hood over the head, the robe over the shoulders thing, has been done almost entirely to cover up the fact that he's got
That he ate the street.
He's got like a giant black welt that's like going down on his shoulders, like. So it's a long, rambling, shit-talking kind of monologue, but it kind of concludes with, and I'm going to find that motherfucker, and I'm going to show him what's what.
Mm-hmm.
I have an idea. I just got to wait till I get in and meet out, because this will be great.
So, when you get inside, Romano is there. Now, he's where Harvey seems to have kind of a, oh shit attitude to it. Like, Romano has seen the same video, and he is, like, giggling to himself about it.
I'm laughing at Harvey. I'm like, look at how he's hiding. Look at how he's hiding all the bruises I gave him.
Harvey. He's like, yeah, but like he's got like a crew of guys. Like we don't need that kind of trouble. And Romano's like, yeah, he's got a crew of guys. He's like, that's not a crew. He's like,
that's the same crew that ran off after I smashed his face into the concrete. So, you know, that crew's not going to stick around very long. Trust me, they ran off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Romano kind of thumps Harvey on the arm, and he kind of thumbs back and forth at Vic and himself, and he goes, "No, we used to run with a crew back in New York." He goes, "This is a gang of kids." He's like, "This is doing stupid shit, and putting graffiti on walls." And he goes, "No." He goes, "We might have to clean some paint off the back of the club at some point," but he goes, "I doubt it'll go any further than that."
This is a bunch of roid addicts wanting to get some attention. That's all it is.
Michael, when you wake up to Ruby having already scooted out of your apartment, leaving you a nice little note with
Robin.
Yep.
I was confused for a second. I was like,
sorry.
Our name. Talk about it. Twist.
Ruby's just walking out.
Robin has left your domicile, left you a nice little calligraphic note saying that she will be at the bar. So what do you do when you wake
up? First off, automatically check my personal messages on the cell phone and stuff like that. See if anybody's reached out.
You have a message from Sabine that that she is sending a young kindred named Declan. That he will be there at some point in the early evening to assist you with whatever you need.
Okay.
You also have a very almost timid message from Wisteria. She's kind of like, this is weird, but you wanted me to call, so I'm calling. She says, I guess I will stop by your club at some point. She goes, probably after I get done working out tonight. I don't know. She's like, this is so fucking weird. I'm going to regret this. And she hangs up. So, what do you?
So then I text her back, looking forward to see you. And then I text Sabine and I say, thank you, darling. Hope to see you soon.
So, and then what do you do? Do you head to the club?
I get dressed and head to the club.
Okay. So, where do you all meet up before the evening to kind of confer on things, or are you?
I'd assume that's her normal ritual, is just meeting up, just
Yeah.
kind of figuring out where
Setting up the
everything's
club,
at.
getting ready.
So, where do you meet up? Are you meeting up in the green room?
guess-
Are you meeting up in your office, Michael? Are you posting up on one of the bars to discuss things? Where?
It's usually the office, I think. I'll let Michael, respond, but I thought we normally meet at either the office or the conference room in the apartment.
I guess the office. As we walk, like I would like walk straight to the office. Like are we meeting in the conference room still, like on a regular?
Conference room's in the hotel, so if we would have met there before going to the club, but I think we all walked over to the club first. So I think the
Yeah, because
I
we
was
have a
already
bunch of
over there
newbies
anyway.
coming in.
So,
Yeah, Michael would be like heading over because we have like so much new staff coming. He would probably be like checking nooks and crannies and making sure that our team that's already here is on like guard and watch and like trying to like be like half-eyed on them. Kind of
I also need to let Romano and Harvey know that a new bar back should be coming tonight, so that if someone comes from the Dissolved Girl or mentions they're a new bar back to let him radio us, let him in.
So, in the office, what is on your prep plate? What do you guys talk about? Or is there a specific agenda that you have in mind?
I want to bring up first and foremost my point that I made with Lane, which is just that we need
Mhm.
to be hyper vigilant with Jen, be accommodating as we can, but we all knew Ruby. And I think that if we each pay attention enough and ask the right questions, we can maybe figure out a little more about this person.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's cool. Like I said, the only major thing I had going on was just seeing if anyone had responded to any of the wanted ads for the club already, and then just seeing if the other wrestler, was his name Mark?
Jack.
Jack. If Jack had contacted us at all.
You have not heard anything from Jack as of yet. Michael, do you have anything to add to the meeting?
I'm going to let them know about Wisteria and the fact that we've got somebody called Devlin coming over from...
Declan.
Declan, sorry. Okay, yeah, okay. Blade Runner, got it. So we have somebody called Declan coming, and from Guilt that Sabine is sending over. And I also said, like, we need to make sure not only, like, are we hyper vigilant on Jen, but we have a lot of new people coming in here from people we are trusting. But I still, like, everybody is on.
What about a buddy up system?
I think that'd
put
be
one
a
of
really
our
smart way to go
trustees
about
with every one of the newbies.
I think that'd be really great. And I don't think they should be together if possible.
No two newbies together. And I mean, we I know for someone, I think I'm remembering us saying about, probationary periods, and I think that's really smart that, we really want you dedicated to the post we are giving you. This is your person to shadow. So please pay attention to this. If you can't abide by this for the first couple weeks or whatever till we trust them, then you're free to walk
I
out
mean,
the door.
it's super typical. It is super
and
typical, to
even
be fair.
and even beyond that, at least my going prospect right now is, even if I bring someone, if I decide someone is worth keeping, I'm not gonna like turn them right away. I'm gonna ghoul them
No, no,
first.
no.
Like
And
it's gonna
we
be
might not
a
even need
step
to.
up. Yeah, right. It's gonna be a step up process. It's not gonna be like, oh, here's the whole shebang.
Oh, and I will clarify to each of our coterie and our people who is kindred and who is kind, because we have a couple kind coming in, and it's always new help is welcome.
So who is getting partnered with who?
Well, we don't know whose specialty is what.
Well, you know from you already know that Jen's capable of running working floor, as she's already done that for you from last week. You also know from Sabine that she's sending a bar back, and Vic, Madison
No,
kind of
so Declan is the bar back?
yes,
I thought it was a bartender. Okay, bar back.
and Madison basically said that she's sending you over somebody to help. So you got the kind of feeling that whoever Madison is sending you is going to be kind of a
Security door.
or somebody more to the point of being kind of a jack of all trades.
Somebody who could probably bartend, somebody who could probably like do floor, somebody who could do like a bunch of things probably.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have anybody else?
Those would be the three. Now we're not counting, of course, the kind Jack or Westy, as
Okay.
they have not shown up. They are not guaranteed to show up quite yet.
Right.
So my vote, I would feel the most comfortable if Lane helped with Jen.
Right, and you should have Declan.
And she should be trained, like even cocktails, she should be trained on bar backing at the minimum. If we need overflow for washing glasses or stocking something while we're busy, I need to know that we have, extra hands back there. I don't expect her to learn to pour if she doesn't want to. But I do know you
It
mentioned
does keep her
Declan,
centered.
and it keeps someone with her, for the most part. And with Declan, considering there's not the personal connection there, and minor investigation that me and Lane are trying to pull, I'm not necessarily thinking Robin's stable enough to watch after someone else. So who else do you think we should pair Declan with?
Also, as
You
a note,
probably.
if you are putting
Alice.
if you're putting Jen with Lane, then you now also have a freed up spot because Rhea is Lane's bar back. So now she needs to be rotated to somewhere else too.
So maybe Rhea being
Rhea
trustworthy
should
and with this
go to
with
Robin.
Declan.
No, Rhea should go to Robin, because Rhea is a bar back and Robin is a bartender, so Rhea should go bar back Robin.
Right. But we
Jen
still
with two N's is being trained up as a bar back, and she's going to Lane. So you need a bar back, so you get Declan.
Ooh. I think between the two, because I was thinking of a different process, but that maybe I'll off shift Declan to Lane, and I'll take this first shift with Jen and feel it out.
Are you sure you're ready for it? Like with emotions and everything?
I mean, if I don't do it now, then I'm just gonna hide and put it off and put it off. I mean, might as well confront this head on.
And
Right.
what are you going to do with the wild card from Madison?
See when she gets here, or they get here.
I was hoping we'd get a bouncer. Damn it, that's like the one spot that I need to like get.
Well, that's why we're waiting for Jack to show up. Hopefully, first thing today.
Yeah, hopefully.
You told him it was a job offer, and he could come show up and train and like try
Yeah.
out. So hopefully, he shows up to take it.
So, with that, is there anything else that you guys want to cover before you break your meeting?
Well, I had well, I mean, this is out of game, but I had mentioned earlier about checking all my phone, social media, and things. Was there anything from anybody that came up?
Now, what do you be more specific? What were you looking for? Are you trying to search up Jen?
No, no. I mean, I'm just like checking voicemail and seeing what text I got overnight from any of our contacts, our friends, and then I mean, I would assume that Ruby would have maybe had social media like Instagram, that kind of stuff.
She can't be around electronics
I was
anymore.
gonna say can't use computer.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, then no, no, no.
You should be checking for mail.
But yeah, I mean, if there's any mail coming to the apartment. But yeah, I would have done those kind of things before heading to the apartment, and we didn't touch back on that. So, yeah, I mean, if there, if there is something to be found of this chick Jen on the internet, I just a normal scrub. You know what I mean? Facebook search, Instagram search. If I don't find anything, that's fine.
No, in fact, what's kind of weird is you don't know her last name, of course. So trying to do a search for somebody who's is generically named as Jen is a little difficult.
We wouldn't we wouldn't have gotten her last name at the hiring point. Would Michael have not gotten that?
That's why she filled out a form. I had her fill out a form.
Yeah, you don't have a last name. It's just Jen.
That's all she put on the form. Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Why weren't we?
What about social security number?
No.
What about all the things that you put on a fucking
job application?
W2.
Yeah, because I made her fill one out before the last.
I mean,
game.
she like all she basically filled out was on the form was her name and a vague description about whereabouts that she stays. Like she didn't leave like the location of her haven. She doesn't have a last name. She didn't leave a phone number. She didn't leave anything like that.
Yeah, Michael, I think we
Is
should
she at the
confront
club
her on
already?
this as soon. We need to confront her
Yeah,
on
she
this.
can't work until we get the deets. Because I'm just gonna go ahead and like be like, listen, I'm so sorry. Like we have to like remain with Masquerade. You have to fill this form out. We need to know who you are. And like we have to operate within the systems of the bureaucratic, like
keep in mind something to keep in mind, and this is something you would know, is Kindred not having access to things like their social security number would not be uncommon.
Yeah.
Because that shit's gonna get, because if they're dead, if they're legally dead, and that shows back up somewhere, then that either is going to be flagged as tax fraud or as
but at least contact information.
I mean, yeah, like a last name, like
Kindred often don't have contact information.
They have to have a phone number
but like
at least.
Oh,
she's not she's not an old changeling. She's still relatively young as a vamp, right?
You have no idea.
She said she's only being.
Yeah, I just say we sit her down when she gets here and do a proper little interview and kind of pin down our standards and what we expect and see her responses. And if they are not up to par, then we'll have to make a decision then.
Start the interview off on a high with congratulating her for cleaning up all the shit from downstairs and then going, you did such a wonderful job cleaning up the cells downstairs of all the shit feces that was down there. That was amazing. Thinking of elevating your position to bar back, but we need a little bit more information on your job application.
This would be about the time in the meeting when both Moira and Clyde would come in. Moira says, there's a curious person who is showed up at the apartments saying that they were sent here by someone named Madison for a job.
Oh, here we go. You're up. Are they here? Did you bring them with you?
She says, "No, they're still waiting over there in the lobby."
Okay, you guys, I guess, settle up things here. Me and Vic will go over and talk to them.
Clyde,
You're muted. Vic, you're
Clyde,
muted.
Clyde's like,
Sorry.
So am I getting back my little helper tonight? Because that was nice having somebody else shoveling shit.
Is there more shit to shovel?
He's like, no, but there always is.
Well, if there's shit to shovel, she will help you.
I thought we had elevated Clyde to like a head of janitorial position where he could like, you know, interview his own helpers and like people and stuff like that. Like he could start hiring people under him to do all the dirty shit.
Moira looks at you and goes, yes, that was purely a, shall we say, title without authority. To which Clyde's like, what the fuck?
I mean, he did send us to the worst one. And it did find us the good one.
Yeah, I thought I had told Romano and Harvey about a new bar back from Madison in the letter to let them in, but
I don't think that she specified it was a bar back.
she did in the text message that I had to her. She said, "I'll be sending you a bar back."
And Sabine did the same?
I believe so. That's in my notes.
So we're getting two
Right.
bar backs from, yeah,
Let's go meet her.
or them.
Yeah, them. Let's go meet them.
Not sure who they are yet.
So, splitting up. Who's going? Alice, are you heading to your bar?
Yeah.
Okay. Michael and Vic, are you heading? You guys are heading back to the apartment to meet the Madison's new recruit.
Yeah. Oh, I see what happened.
But before we
She
go,
went to
we're
the
quickly.
apartment, not the club. Okay, that's why Harvey and
So
Romano did
before we
the
go, I'm going to debrief Moira about the notes of the meeting, and then go with Vic to the apartment.
Okay. So we'll start with you two. When you guys walk over to the apartment on your way, Vic, you catch a familiar face in the crowd. Jack is standing at the very end of the line. He's wearing a pair of kind of old, beat up workman's pants, like painter's pants or cargo pants. He's got on boots. He's wearing a t-shirt. He's got on kind of a light windbreaker. And
What color is the t-shirt?
gray, just like a flat gray.
Damn, should have been black. You would have been ready.
He is.
He's not showing up ready for the job, man.
He looks really uncomfortable. Like the rest of the kids that are around him are super stylish. He is older than them by probably 10 to 15 years. And he looks a little out of place.
I'll let Michael know. I'll catch up with him just a minute.
I'll head on to the apartment, and we just share a nod.
Yeah, and I'll radio in to Harvey. I'll be like, "Hey Harvey, can you meet me in the line?"
So Harvey kind of hustles out and meets you, and he's like, "Yeah, what's going on?"
This is Jack. This is the guy I told you about.
Are you gonna go get him out of the back of the line and like pull him?
Yeah, I'm gonna because he's not coming in as a member. I said this is the guy I was telling you about. I met him last night. He seems like he'll be a great fit for the club.
When you walk up on Jack, the two of you, he kind of like gives like kind of a shrug. He's like, didn't know what to wear, so he's like, I didn't know what kind of work I was going to be doing, so figured I'd dress for dirty occasions.
No, it's good. Tonight's going to be a good eye opener. You'll be able to see what to wear, what the clientele looks like, and exactly how much money to be in it for you. You know.
I'm sure we have like a black T-shirt he can throw on.
Yeah, there's clubwear. There's officially
Like
We'll get
the
you situated.
beacon T-shirts and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
We'll get you
That's all he
situated. No problem.
Harvey greets him. They and he's like, okay, well, Harvey starts asking like some kind of weirdly invasive questions. He's like, got any family at home? He's like, do you?
Hey, Harvey.
got-
That's all stuff for a job application. Once he gets in and situated, like just right now, you get him to the front door. Let him kind of see
Show 'em
how
the
things
ropes.
go down. Show him the ropes. Let him see how you and Romano handle the crowd. That's the main thing. I'll be back here in a little bit. I need to go meet with Michael at the apartments. I will be back here in just a bit.
Harvey's like, okay, and takes Jack up the line.
Harvey shouldn't be asking those fucking questions.
So when you guys get over to the apartment together, as that whole thing didn't take very long, it's pretty easy for Vic to catch up with you, Michael. When you guys get over to the apartment, there is a person who is standing in the lobby. They have on black, like almost tap shoes,
Okay.
black
Shiny
socks,
ones.
black pants, um, a
He
white
looks like an
shirt,
usher from a funeral home.
a white shirt
Okay.
with a black cardigan on top, a very very small bow tie, and it almost looks like a conductor's cap.
Michael
They,
feels like he's back in the 20s. Very, very takes him back a little bit. Just like, okay.
they are. There is the barest hint of eyeliner and maybe a little bit of eyeshadow, but they are so close to being perfectly androgynous that there is no way to tell who the proper pronouns for this person, the proper way to address them. There's literally no way. They don't have any. There's no. You don't see a pair of tits. You don't see a particularly curvy ass. There's no bulge in the crotch. There's, for all you know, if this was a different game, it might be an android.
Beautiful.
It's a Barbie doll. Ken Barbie doll.
I
Which of the
extend my
three
hand and I
Kens?
say, Vic has told me you were sent over by his daughter, Victoria, right? No, what's her name?
Madison.
Madison. Sorry, too many.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Madison.
I know. I even last week before we started, I even had to look up in the notes to remember. Like it's my daughter in the game, and I had to look up that. So it's okay. Don't worry.
Awesome. And like I believe Madison sent you over. I am Michael Starwell. I am the proprietor of this little space. It's a pleasure to meet you. I extend my hand.
They shake your hand and they say, "Kennedy, pleased to meet you."
Kennedy, so do you have any experience in nightlife?
They say, you could say that. I was one of the original staff for the Dissolved Girl.
Brilliant.
Said
Well
so.
then,
Madison told me that I will be helping you with whatever you need. So
do you know how to bartend?
they say, "Yep, I can bartend. I can bar back. I can. I'm not particularly wanting to be working floor given my current attire, but I can certainly do that." They said, "If you need paperwork done, I'm more than adept at handling paperwork." Said,
Kennedy, you are a gem. Follow me and we'll show you the ropes.
"So where are you taking Kennedy to go?"
Um,
He mentioned.
Might be
I'd
wise to just
say,
start at the door, introducing the doorman, walk them through the main
yeah,
entrance, and just the whole tour.
yeah, I think, but like, I think a bartender, a second bartender next to Robin would be great. Or something like that. Like, I feel like two bartenders in our most uh, high level bar would be a great idea.
So you're going. So what you're thinking of doing is putting um, Kennedy with. So just clarifying, putting Kennedy and Rhea at Robin's bar with Robin, and basically having that being a three-man crew.
Right now we have Al, and who do you have with you?
Lane and Jen.
Okay, so
Lane and
so
Jen.
so Lane
Nice.
Lane so Lane is bartending her own bar with Rhea usually as her bar back.
Oh,
Robin
Okay.
has
yeah.
Robin hasn't ever had a bar back up there. That's been kind of being a sliding job for Rhea and for Clyde and everybody else, kind of picking up the slack on that. And then at Alice's bar, previously, of course, it was Ruby who was bar backing for her. But since that position has been opened up, she does not currently have a bar back.
I'd say Al is probably the
All right.
top bartender. So barbender, spender.
That would be you, sir.
Bar.
Because we have Devlin coming in and we have Rhea already as a bar back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about putting Jen as a bar back.
Mm-hmm.
So which one is the most high volume bar in our little club?
So the most high volume bars would be between Al and Lane's. Al's bar is technically considered to be main bar.
Okay, so Kennedy's going to go with Al and Jen.
Okay, so you're putting
A second bartender. So each other bar is a bar and a bar back, and the main bar has two bartenders, like a bartender and a bar back, and then the main bar has two bartenders and a bar back.
got it. Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and radio this to Al and be like, while we're walking, just be like, hey, like you're gonna have a second hand bartender. Let me know if you still want the same bar back.
Hmm. I am gonna have my hands kind of full with training Jen tonight, so
They're very established. They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
They'll probably help you with the training.
Yeah, from what we heard of Kennedy, Kennedy's already experienced bartender, so it shouldn't take
what's
too
our
much.
what's our trust level with this Kennedy?
He came from Madison. I would expect that's like Hecate territory. I would expect that to be pretty the highest.
Okay. I just want to know that if I'm
And it is.
got
And
my
it's like
eye
a
on Jen, I don't want to be dismissive or not observant of Kennedy in
I
case
will
there are
I will
signs
totally
there.
be on the floor tonight.
Okay.
Like, don't forget, I'm not going to be like in the office or doing anything else. I will be on the floor, like bouncing back from like bartenders, observing all the new like people. Like
That's a good
that's
idea.
the plan. When we have like new people, there's no way that I'm not going to be there to like
And the same
observe
with
and
Jack.
support.
Now that Jack showed up, I'm kind of gonna start devoting some of my focus to him tonight. I'm not going anywhere tonight. I'm here at the club.
Yeah.
So So are you, Michael, are you walking Kennedy to Al's bar?
Yeah.
Okay. Vic, where are you headed at this point? Are you just heading back to the front door in order to...
Yeah, I figured
While
I'd
walking,
stop
I
at
would
the
be.
front door. Yeah, we'd be walking back together.
So
I'd stop at the front door and take care of
you can take care of
take care of
Jack.
things.
I would be showing Kennedy the facilities as we go by, introducing them to the other bars and bartenders and bar backs.
So, Al, at your bar, while you were setting up there, you happen to see Jen walk by with Clyde. She has on a wife beater. She's got on black pants that are ripped at the knees, tastefully, not haphazardly. She's wearing steel-toed boots, and she has on a baseball cap that is backwards, with her signature pigtails over her shoulder.
Guess I'd just say, good evening. How's it going?
She's, as they're walking by, Clyde's like, just getting some cleaning supplies so that way we can make sure all the carts are ready for tonight. Jen's like, how are you doing?
Okay. I think we're gonna have you shadow over here on my bar tonight.
Clyde's, both of them at the same time are like, what? Jen sounds more happy about it, kind of like a what? Where Clyde's like, what?
Dude, you know that we are in a transitional phase and we're training a lot of people at once. We want to be able to cross-train people in different departments.
He's
You had her last night cleaning up shit. I get her tonight and she gets to clean up the bar shit.
She turns to Clyde and kind of gives him a raspberry, and then turns and looks at you, and she goes, so how do I get behind the bar? And Clyde just kind of throws his hands up, and he's like, this is my forever. And he kind of stomps off with his trash can.
Ooh, fuckity
This
who,
is my
motherfucker.
forever.
He thinks he's stuck in this cleaning up position. Like
That
this
he's
is all
just
he
gonna
ever
be the
does
one
is
and
clean
only,
up.
and we're never gonna do anything to help him just because I took his little toy away for one night. Whatever. Fuck off,
Like
Clyde.
I was really under the understanding that
I'm
like
gonna
he
I'm
was
gonna
given
go.
like full
If
permission to
if
like hire staff underneath him.
yeah, and I thought that was like legit too.
So, Al, she is kind of like looking around the bar, trying to figure out how to get behind. So how do you point it out to her? Do you just tell her to jump the bar? What do you tell her to do?
I don't want nobody's feet all up on my bar. Take your ass around there. Good.
So yes. So she comes around the bar and kind of presents herself and kind of crosses her hands in front of her, and she goes, so what do we do now?
Well, first of all, I need to discuss your lack of an application here. Now, I get that, you may not have certain things we need for W-2s. We'll figure that out on our own, the legalities. But most of our coterie lives on site, and if they don't, we need to know their whereabouts if they're not staying with us. Um, you
In their
know,
history.
in some kind of work history, even if it's just a couple of jobs. And don't think that we're gonna just call them up and then ditch you. This is just for our good knowledge. So can you finish filling this out very quickly for me?
She looks down at it and she goes, "It's as filled out as I can possibly make it." She's like, "I don't really have a particular haven that I'm staying at. I live south." Uh, she goes, "I thought I was kind of clear about that with Mr. Starwell, um, that I'm kind of basically living near a shelter."
Oh, homeless. I did not pick that up. I am sorry.
She goes, "And I don't," she says, she goes, "I never really had any formal job training."
Well, we can work with that. How about you go and start stacking those glasses? And I'm gonna give Michael a shout and I'll be right back.
She nods and gives you kind of a wistful smile and goes to stack glasses. As she turns away from you, there is a almost painful feeling behind your eyes. You hear a voice. It's not a voice you've ever heard before. It is studious. It almost sounds like they're lecturing you. You feel like you're catching it in the middle of the lecture. Like it's not quite like peanut sounds, but it's like you can't make out the rest of the words until the very end, where it almost feels like the voice, wherever they are, is looking at you. And the end of the lecture is punctuated by a question. It says, "Aren't we all always sometimes monsters?"
And can I tell the difference if this is like coming from the web of voices
Oh,
kind of thing or it's a separate new experience?
no, this definitely sounds like the cobweb.
Okay, okay. Um, Interesting. And so has Michael made his way over to my bar yet?
So at about this point, yeah, we would say that Michael has shown up with Kennedy in tow. Uh, Kennedy is looking around as you guys walk up and is very obviously kind of appraising the bar, looking at it. They come around the bar and very forthrightly kind of like walk up close to you, but not like invading your personal space. And says, "Which end of the bar is yours?"
Uh, the whole bar is mine.
He's asking what
No,
side
no,
you.
no. He's asking you which side do you want. I would have told you.
Okay,
Remember,
okay. I
I
thought
like
he's like trying to feel
walkie
me
talked
out,
you.
like.
No. He's splitting the
No,
bar.
no, 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 no. He's just here to help. So he's like, where do you want me?
Well,
Like,
for right
make
now,
space.
yeah, for right now, I'm training another new hire, Jen. I point at her stacking glasses. I'm like, all right, now I'm kind of working with her. So yeah, if you want to take the downside.
Kennedy nods and goes, "No problem. This I will. I don't need any training, so I'll stay on this end and I can keep up my side just fine. So you two can have all of the training time you need."
I appreciate it, and I am confident in your confidence, but of course, every new job comes with a few questions, so please don't be afraid to ask and interrupt if you need anything.
Kennedy nods and looks to you, Michael, and says, "Is this where?" Kind of points at the storage door and says, "Is this where all the extra alcohol is stored, or is there a separate storage unit for it, or?"
I'm gonna say yes. Like it's like show them around the bar really quickly since like since Al is training Jen right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna like since you're already in the middle of training Jen right now, right?
Right.
I'm just gonna walk him around where he needs to find all the extra stuff, like in case we run out of lemons or if I like need a second whiskey or something. Here.
Storyteller,
Hmm.
what was his inflection in specifically asking Michael? What impression am I getting? Was it snarky? Was it
Mm-mm.
just just utterly direct? Was it like I don't know?
The sense I'm
Um,
getting from this character is neutrality at all things, almost like an expression.
I would agree with Martha on that.
Okay.
Kennedy so far has had um, very very exceedingly polite, if anything, very but
Not
not
friendly
aggressive,
by any means.
not aggressive,
Not
not
sugar.
particular.
No,
Yeah,
not like overly saccharine polite. Like we're talking about Swedish polite.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So the Kennedy is very just in the moment that you've been there around Kennedy, they are very very. Um, it's not so much that it's neutral as they aren't giving anything and they aren't asking for anything.
Right. Okay.
Very much the androgynous masterpiece in front of us. And by the way, Michael is extremely intrigued, very intrigued, because gorgeous.
So Kennedy heads down to the bar and starts reorganizing some of the bottles on there. Well, starts kind of moving things around a little bit. Jen is stacking glasses. So
Once Michael has finished showing Kennedy to their station, I would try to make connection. Hey,
Oh,
over. Come on over.
well, before I leave, I would be like, thank you again for all your help. I appreciate everything. You seem very knowledgeable. I do want to refer you to Al. She is the lead on this bar. For anything else while I'm not around, please refer to her. If she took like, and she's the boss of this zone.
Kennedy gives kind of a very short nod and goes, "Understood."
I'm very excited to see what you are able to do tonight. Thank you so much again for coming by on such short notice. Such short notice.
You sounded like you were answering the Wheel of Fortune. Like, make sure you put that one out there. Just real careful.
I just got it. It was just so weird. It just came out and all like.
So Al, you said you're pulling Michael aside real quick.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd make sure we're out of earshot of Jen, supposing she doesn't have super hearing. Um, yeah, so I discussed her application, and it really seems like she's a drifter right now, and I'm worried that's going to interfere with her punctuality of being able to be here night after night. Uh, do we have any open apartments?
I'm sure we do right now.
I mean, the one where the last dead body was found is open.
Ugh, yeah, great. Um,
Wait, what? Oh yeah, I'm so. Anyways, um, I think we can find something for her close by for the moment until we reset some of the rooms.
yeah, yeah. Um,
And I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and put her up in a hotel room for like a couple nights, like
okay,
just like a motel or something around.
yeah. And, yeah, I
And
think our
then
training with her is going to be a little more intensive than we all thought. Because although she seems quite eager, it appears she has no bar experience or really much any experience, which I find odd at her age.
she might.
Not that
Well,
she
you know,
remembers.
she was very competent in helping Clyde out. If she has struggles, you know, he's
Yeah.
chomping at the bits to get her help back.
But I definitely think having her on site uh, at the apartments will give us more opportunity to get to know
I'm
her.
just I agree. I just worry that it might be the poison Turkish delight
I know. I
that gets
know.
us.
I
So
mean,
I want to play this one with as much caution as possible.
so maybe
And
a
while we're
hotel
having,
for the first
and I'm like,
week. That way she's not on site, but we're giving her a week of work to come in and have us, kind of feel it out.
I am also going to do while we're talking. I'm going to do a sense the unseen towards Jen.
Wits and aspects.
Crash check?
Mhm.
We haven't got there yet.
Mm.
Does since the insane require a spec? I don't think it does. Aspects. No, it's free.
Okay.
Okay. What is my wits and aspects right now?
I thought your hunger was at a 1 last time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm completely like base level
Yeah, so
again.
Wits
it should
are
have been wits. It used to be
wits.
what
Wits is 3. Aspects is 1, and you've got 1 hunger, so it's 3 and 1.
for 3 and 1. Yeah.
What happened?
Does
Did
not
anything
work.
come through?
Oh, 1 second. Be right back.
Ah,
Brash.
brash.
The API broke. That's the only time he voluntarily leaves us.
Right?
This feels like taking the DC Metro. It's like it's almost functioning.
Right.
There it goes.
Like it kind of gets you to some places. All right, here we go.
You don't see
I will
anything.
re-roll 2, please.
You're gonna reroll 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Hey, if it were Mothership, that would be a critical.
Right?
That is true.
I'm really worried about the teenager we like tagged on Mothership. I think I'm going to see something very horrible regarding this kid. Poor schmuck.
You guys, you don't see anything. It just looks like her.
Okay.
And I'm going to be like, do sense the scene every once in a while you're around her. Keep checking out. I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'm gonna be around. I'll be back.
So,
You've got your radio, and I've got mine.
yeah. So at that point, I would head back to Jen and take her aside and say, "Hey, I've spoken to Michael about it, and we actually own some apartments near here where we put up a lot of our employees. And we need to make sure we get one renovated. But if you are interested, we're willing to put you up in a hotel for a week while you're training. And if things work out, then you'd be welcome to one of the apartments. How do you feel about something like that?
She's like, she's like, that's really generous of you guys. I don't need the hotel for a week. Um, she's like, but if things work out, she goes, then sure, then I would something a little more permanent would be good.
And that's my worry and why we're offering the hotel while we get the apartment made ready. Just to give you some, consistency, somewhere to go to when you need to rest. And that way we're not worried about, you missing work or something happening and no one being able to contact you. But again, that's up to you. We just want to extend that.
She's like, I mean, I appreciate that. She's like, I'll certainly take you up on the offer of the apartment if things work out. She's like, but I'm not. I don't need a hotel. She's like, I'm. She's like, that's fine. I've got a place that I can sleep.
All right.
Where do you sleep? Where is it? Like, that's not like.
Well, I thought that you guys had that conversation before. Am I wrong?
I do not remember it, guys. I'm so sorry.
You did have that conversation. She told you that she was sleeping near a shelter.
Yeah, but like, which shelter? What street? What, like, are you sleeping in a tent and you prefer to be sleeping in a tent? How come? Like, this is all lines of
Right, but I'm
curiosity.
also walking the line of not trying to seem stalkerish. Like I think there's a fair amount that your boss should be able to ask of you, but then I'm also not trying to push too
Yeah,
fast.
right, and that's not Al's character either. So yeah,
Right,
I
and
mean,
we
yeah,
have that. We have the whole night. This is night's just
yes,
kicking off.
yeah.
So
Sorry, guys, I get excited.
the next point of conversation with Jen would be um I need you to understand that you are a spitting image of a former employee,
Slash, ex.
and well, I'm protecting that part.
I know.
Um, she was loved by a lot of people around here, and so you maybe get some attention that you don't understand. You may be called Ruby from time to time. Just please be patient and courteous with our customers in correcting them. And if this becomes an issue for you, please let me know. We don't want you uncomfortable here.
She's kind of like looking at you like you've just told her that you were going to take her home, fuck her, and then bite her head off. And she's kind of like, that is a little weird.
Well, at this point, I pull my phone out and show her a picture of me and Ruby together.
She's like, oh wow, that's really weird.
So I just wanted you to be mentally prepared that this mistaken identity situation could go on for a while with, a lot of our regulars that come in and out. A lot of them don't know that she's gone.
She's like, oh, okay. She's like, I mean, yeah, she's like, if it's gonna make you uncomfortable, she's like, I can work floor. She's like, I don't mind.
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, after losing someone that, was that close, it would be nice to make a new friend and get to know you.
Because you look like her. Sorry.
She's like, okay.
And feel free to ask me anything. I'm an open book for the most part, so.
we can also just say to her really like you could also just say to her really quickly like be like again like we're just trying you out. If you prefer floor, that you can go back there, but since we got like so short and caught out with like
I kind of
only
said that in the
specialized
beginning when she
individuals.
walked
Yeah.
up to the bar and had
Okay,
explained that
word.
to Clyde. So that was kind of seems
Okay,
like it's
word.
along the same lines.
Word.
Shh.
This seems like an appropriate time to take a biome
IO
break.
break. All right, chatters. Thanks for sticking with us through the first half of our session. Be about 10 minutes or so. And we'll be back. So go get a drink, smoke, whatever you need, and we'll all be back soon. Get everything turned on. Welcome back to the playground. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. Um, I'm Pixie Phoenix. I'm a variety streamer here on Twitch, and I'm joined tonight by Nox, my storyteller, Zack, who plays Victor Black,
Heyo.
Martha plays Michael Starwell. I'm Alice. And I do see somebody redeemed a hydrate, and that was while I was on break, so I'm gonna get a sip of water. And yeah, I don't think there's much new to report, but thanks you guys for sticking with us. And oh, one new thing I did want to bring up. We are currently looking to add members to our coterie. So if you're interested in tabletop role playing, please get a hold of me on my Discord. We also have a second night on Thursdays where we play a sci-fi horror game called Mothership. Also looking for new players. So if you're looking to try this out, or you're an experienced tabletopper, give us give us a message on Discord or my other social media, and I'll hand it back to the group.
All right. Welcome back to our Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition Chronicle, Philly by Night, session 58. So, Vic. What? Vic is in another cell.
Oh, I love it. Like that.
I'm back.
That like. God, what is that? That like
I'm
chat
back.
roulette kind of thing that is, and like this kid has been like making like, you want to see a magic trick, and then it loads and it's like somebody else talking, and they're like, oh, no magic trick, and he just shows up in the back. He's like, hey, I thought you wanted to see the magic trick, and I like it keeps freaking people out. I love it. It's one of my favorite like viral things on the internet.
No, I had to chuckle. He said, "Hey, so Vic." As soon as I was opening her door, I was like, "Oh, okay, crap, gotta run back."
So, Vic, you and Jack are up at the front. How are you introducing him to things? What are you...
Well, for the first little bit, I just want to kind of show him how how things work at the front door. So we just kind of be watching Harvey and Romano do their work, and then I'd be kind of just showing him, letting him view and a little bit, and then I would probably take him inside for the job application interview portion of things.
So about the...
Which everybody has, yeah, those you can actually do that stuff in the office. You have free reign there too.
Yeah, that's fine.
So before you actually get to walk away from the front door, a gentleman comes up. He is dressed in club boots. He's got on leather pants and a completely mesh sleeveless shirt, which is showing off a huge amount of ink and piercings. He walks up to the front door and looks at Harvey. He goes, Sabine sent me. I'm here for the barback position. And Vic, it's not difficult to notice that there are several people who are standing in line who are kind of swooning. Boys and girls.
Always good for a barback. Eye candy.
I'll radio to Michael. I'll
It's always good for business.
Sabine's barback just showed up front door.
I'll be right there. And then I head towards the front door.
So when we'll stick with Vic here for a second. Vic, when you had...
Am I mistaken? Hold on. Am I mistaken, or has Sabine's barback, wasn't that Kennedy? Or was no? That was
No.
that was
Madison.
That was
Madison.
Madison's.
Wasn't there another Barbeck that already showed up tonight?
Jen?
Declan.
Jen.
It's just Jen.
This is
Okay, so we
Declan.
haven't. Okay.
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 This is Declan.
So Declan has not shown up tonight.
This is
We just
Declan.
heard that.
Exactly. Not yet.
Okay.
And he's showing up right now.
Okay, my bad. I thought Declan was already here. That's why I said it as a question. I was like, Sabine's Barback is here? I thought the Barback was already here. I apologize.
Got it.
I get it.
So Vic, when you take Jack in, what are you saying to him? What are you?
I'm like, so what do you think so far? You think it's something you can pretty easily handle? You know.
He's like, I mean, it's definitely not my scene. He's like, this is definitely a young man's game. But he's like, I mean, if you guys are gonna pay me to do this, he's like, yeah, I can totally handle this.
Yeah, and if things work out, we can also find housing for you across the street. Most of our staff is housed in the apartment.
I think
You know,
I think he's just on loan from Sabine.
No. I'm talking to Mark. This is the guy we met at the.
Jack.
Jack. This is the MMA guy that didn't give
Oh,
up.
you're talking to the MMA guy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he's not on loan. He's someone I'm trying to bring in.
He's like, I mean, I already have a place, but that's mighty kind of you. He's like, kind of a interesting cast of characters you've got here.
You know, we try to keep it's more of us rebels. You know, a lot of us that don't back down or stand down from a lot of what we've seen, and your fight against Alphonse really impressed me as to be like someone that holds the same ideals as we do, and not backing down for the little guy and always being there.
That story scared the pants off me.
He's like, I mean,
Guess
well,
I better
yeah,
put my pants back on.
you can't let people step on you. He's like, because all of those type of people, those from fucking people like that meathead to to the corporations that are that run things to to the cops and the politics. He's like, no, fuck that. He's like, I don't have to go make it every fight my fight. He's like, but I'm not gonna back down just because somebody thinks they're bigger than I am. He's like, I might get my ass kicked, but he's like, no, not without taking a swing myself.
He'll be right at home.
And that's what I read from you, and that's why I thought you'd be a pretty good fit here, because all of us, while we may not be from the exact same walks of life, we all share that same ideal of, not letting the underdog, go without a good fight. We all try to stand up for the underdog and try to stand up to things that are bigger than us.
He's like, well, yeah. He's like, I mean, this is totally something, that I feel like I could do.
Sounds great. Your apartment situation, how's that working? What kind of an apartment do you have?
He goes, well, I have a house up north, actually. It's not much. It's a 2-bedroom for me and my kid.
Mm.
He's like, he's a good kid, but he's doesn't always get it. Doesn't always understand that that this is a fight from front to back.
I get that. Had a daughter, and I've just recently been reacquainted with myself. So I actually spent a long time away from her.
He's like, well, what are you going to have me doing? He's like, am I going to be just working door with those two knuckleheads, or am I going to be, what are you going to have me?
For now, I think working door will work out best with Well, one of them's a knucklehead for sure. Harvey's not. Romano's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, so I would definitely listen to anything Romano tells you. He's
He's like,
pretty
so
smart.
he's like, so follow Romano's lead, not Harvey's. Got it.
Just like I said, you seem to have a pretty good head on your shoulders too. So follow your instinct. If it comes to Harvey, follow your instinct.
He's like, I think I can do that. Michael, you ran up and went to go see Declan, correct? So when you walk up there, he's been brought in. He is standing at the end of Robin's bar, and he is exuding so much rock star energy that even though he's not actually bartending there, like he's kind of soaking up all of that attention. Like there are people around him who are asking him for drink discussions, who are kind of deferring to him. Like he almost has this natural rock star persona presence that's just kind of overwhelming everybody there at the bar when you walk out, Michael.
Well, I wake up. I walk up and I glide up to him and I say, "Hello, Daddy."
He kind of looks at you from half-lidded eyes, and he's like, Mr. Starwell, Sabine has told me a lot about you. Says, I am here to solve your problems.
Oh, I could get used to you saying that. Well, then follow me.
He falls into step beside you. It is difficult to not notice the fact that as you're walking with him in front of you, that there is kind of people in front are kind of parting to let you guys through, but you definitely have people who are kind of following from behind who are.
Is he? And he's kindred.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell what kind of kindred?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I think we have him set up for Lane, right?
You were going to have him set up at Layton's bar.
Okay. Then I take him by. I show him Robin. I introduce him to Robin and Rhea. Tell him he's already met our security staff up front.
So when you take him to meet Robin and Rhea, Rhea has very much the same experience as a lot of the other. Like she's totally swooning over Declan. Robin has almost the exact opposite.
This isn't Idaho.
She's kind of like looking at him like,
Ew.
yeah, like this is gross.
To each their own.
So when you take Declan down to Lane's bar,
Mm-hmm.
Lane is kind of like, oh, hey. And you can tell, it's just a split-second thing, that he is disappointed, upset, angry. There's something, the fact that he doesn't seem to garner the same reaction that he's garnered from so many other people, that she's just kind of like, hey, whatever. You can tell it gets under his skin a little bit.
Ego.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed that and like put it in my like head bank. And I'm gonna be like, okay, so this is Lane. This is Lane. She's your lead. If she's getting slammed and you can throw a couple drinks, feel free. But she's the boss, and what she says goes.
She invites him behind the bar and starts to kind of point where things are. He kind of looks around a little bit, and then he's like, okay. He's like, this is not too dissimilar from what Sabine's got back there. He goes, I can make this work.
Fantastic. I really appreciate you showing up on such short notice. I have a feeling you're going to have a huge impact on the crowd tonight.
He goes,
Just to give him a little boost.
He goes, I certainly hope so.
I have no doubt.
So, where do you head after that?
I actually go see Clyde.
So Clyde is busy humping trash all over the place. It's not a particularly slow night. There's definitely a crowd here tonight. So there is a lot of trash that's going in and out, and you catch him as he's walking out the back door with 2 trash cans on rollers that have both double bags on top of them.
I grab one of the trash cans from him, and I'm like, I'll follow you out.
He's like, all right.
Help him do the trash, do a quick sense the unseen in the alleyway before we go back in, and I talk to him in the hallway.
So when you are outside, you throw the trash in the dumpster, and you are a little shocked when the trash hits and there's a sound from inside that sounds like a moan.
I look in.
In the trash, you see a hand sticking out from underneath of some of the trash bags.
I'm like, Clyde, I think there's somebody in there. Help me out.
Clyde hops over the side and starts parting the trash bags. And he yells at you, shit, we've got a problem. He tries to lift the person who's in there, but he can't.
I get in.
Laying in the trash is Westy. Her face is severely bruised. She is having trouble breathing. Her skin condition, her skin pallor is almost white.
This is who?
Westy, the weightlifting Amazon that I asked to come in. I'm gonna immediately radio Vic. I'm like, Vic, I need you out back.
Okay.
ASAP.
While you are radioing him, Clyde is in the trash, is trying to do as much of a check as he can, checking pulse, checking heartbeat. He looks at you, Michael, and he said, we don't have enough time. He's like, there's not enough time to get her to a hospital.
I say, fuck. Okay. Shit. Get her inside to the green room.
There is no way you're going to haul a nearly exsanguinated body across to your club. From there, you could take her into the
like
basement.
we have minutes, like seconds right now. We don't even have time to move her, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
you could. The closest you could do would be to either move her just inside the door to the hallway, heading back, like the cells and areas like that, or where you are. But Clyde looks at you and is like, "We need to make a decision right now." He's like, "Either we're putting her in."
I open my wrist.
Get there. Let me get there.
Yeah, it would be better for Vic.
She's already a muscle one. She's already like Bruja. Like, if I don't know. I'm
Doesn't always
kind of
work out.
speaking out of character because I'm not there
How long
yet.
does it take him to get to that door?
You can let me
I
get
mean, he's
there.
going from one side of a very busy club to the other side of a
Yeah,
very busy club. Even as being security with a flashlight, telling people to
Celerity.
move, it takes a minute.
Celerity
I was
things.
about to say, what is that celerity?
I have traversal. Hold on. What does that do?
I took a favor to her. She's my girl. I'm not gonna double think this. I'm going to like. I'm gonna puncture the wrist and like make sure some gets into her mouth.
So you hold you slash your wrist and hold it to her mouth. She is very, very faint. So it takes the combination of you holding your
Wrist to her mouth and like
wrist to her
stroking
mouth,
her,
and
stroking her throat to help her swallow.
And Clyde is like having to like try to like prop her up to give her some sort of
enough, like
yeah,
an angle, like so like gravity can work.
After a few moments, she takes to your wrist and starts weakly suckling at it. But with every second that it starts to suckle, her mouth is more and more urgent. She is drinking deeper and deeper. You know at this point that if you continue to let her do this, then you are bringing her into this life.
I pull away before it happens.
So hold on.
Okay. Sorry.
So she is in bad shape. Like whoever or whatever attacked her was very obviously attempting to send you a message.
Trying to beat her to death, basically.
But
and basically succeeding.
What you have here is a very, very simple dilemma. You can pull away, and if you do that, she'll die, but at least she won't be in pain. Or you continue to let her drink, and you bring her into this life as your new child. It is not uncommon for Toreadors for this to be the way that Toreadors sire, that there is that certain beautiful something that they just can't watch the light go out.
I can't let her die yet. So I will let her. I will let her keep drinking because I don't want to let her go. There was something about her that attracted me. Her like this beautiful angelic face on this Amazonian body, and just being so close that I couldn't get there, and like she is now punished just for like my attention. I can't let her go.
All right. Well, this is actually a late, although appropriate time period for everybody to do housekeeping.
Browse check.
But this is particularly important for you because of the state of your hunger. Vic is fine. You are perfectly fine. Ah, everybody's fine. Good night for everybody.
Nice.
So, she drinks and drinks and drinks. And it is, as she's doing it, it is, yes, it is a somewhat pleasurable experience. But as she's doing it, you can feel your beast curling around your stomach. You can feel your hunger increasing with every pull of her mouth. You
Yeah.
can feel that she is continuing to drink from you. So, when she finally falls away from your wrist, you are famished. You are nearly at the point of ravenous hunger. But even in spite of the fact that you feel like you could steal someone right off the street and drain them dry, it's difficult not to watch this transformation happen. The bruising on her face starts to recede. The internal wounds, the bones, the broken bones, the collapsed lungs kind of start to puff up. The musculature becomes even more defined, where she was already kind of a beefy weightlifter, power lifter. Now she looks like something straight out of a Greek statue. Like she is massive, but she is also absolutely gorgeous. She sits up and she opens her mouth and with a very hoarse voice, she's like, water. She's like so thirsty.
I'm sure you are, but I don't think water is going to be the solution anymore. Can you get up?
She stands up with Clyde's help. And you notice about this point time period that she gets a little too close to Clyde.
I swoop in and take the support off of Clyde.
He quickly backs up, and you can see in her body language and in her face that she doesn't know what she smelled on Clyde, but she really wants to.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with this brand new neophyte?
Well, first off, I try to get her out of the garbage.
You are fairly successful, not without a stumble or two, but she does come out of the dumpster.
Has Vic gotten there yet?
This would be about that. We could say that Vic gets here at about this time period. So, Vic, when you get there, the scene you walk in on is Michael hauling this person out of the trash who you'd only seen maybe across the gym the night before. You're muted. And now they're here tonight, and
Not smelling the same.
yeah, and they do not smell the same.
I'd go help Michael get her out of the trash can.
And at this point, once I have Vic by me, I'd send Clyde inside. Get inside.
Clyde is like, no problemo, and backs away from her very, very quickly.
I'll talk to you about what I needed to later as he goes away.
He's like, I am sure that is 1,000% less important than what's going on right now.
What happened here? What is she doing here?
Help me get her into the apartments.
So you are going to walk her down the alley and then back around and take her into where are you taking her to your penthouse? Are you taking her to?
Would it be less?
Yeah, but as we are in the alley, I would be doing a sense the unseen.
Would it be less conspicuous for me to bring the car around?
We have an entrance from the alleyway to the apartment, so we can dash in and out.
From the alley, is the apartment behind the club, not in front of the club?
Yeah.
It's to the side.
Okay.
What's to the side?
Oh, to the side. Okay. For some reason, in my mind, I was thinking like the alley and the club were like across the street from each other.
Yeah,
so, like,
I thought they were like
there.
one behind the other, or catty corner or something. I don't know.
Okay. No, as long as we can get her over without issue, then that's fine. I just thought we might need the car for cover, but if we don't, then that's fine.
Need to figure out who did this shit, because that's a total breach of our domain.
Right, that's not something I'm gonna be able to figure out. My main concern is just getting her out of here, getting her safe right now.
So you guys take her up to Michael's apartment.
This feels too orchestrated.
When you get her up there, what do you do? What is your next step?
Did we ever get that order from Sabine about some backup blood to have in the fridge?
You have some blood, but this is going to be, I mean, unless your very first thing that you're going to introduce her to is going to be bagged blood.
Basically.
Can't say it hasn't happened
in
before.
A thermostat. She asked for water. I'm just gonna put some blood in like a invisible coffee cup and be like, here, drink this. Not like, like a to-go thing, like a sippy bottle.
So when you do that, when you go and you attempt to feed her, you give her a bottle of like a sippy cup of bagged blood.
Like a water bottle, like a hydro flask.
She
Camelback.
All those things. Yeah, something like that.
She starts to drink it, and then she coughs and spits it all back up.
She can't drink bottles.
She's like, it tastes kind of good, but I can't keep it down.
Well, now we know that. How is she? Is she like relatively calm? Is she like, what is her, how is she sitting in the penthouse right now?
She is basically sitting in the hallway as you walk in. She is definitely in shock. She is doing everything she can to hold it together, but she is a newborn, very, very hungry vampire who is, she does not know up from down, left from right, or dead from alive right now.
So I take her by the hands and very gently bring her inside and put her in a seat and sit across from her.
She's like, I don't know what the fuck happened. She was like, I sent you a message, and then I took the bus and came down here, and a friend of mine was supposed to come, and he didn't come, and then I was walking and got that feeling when somebody is like creeping on you, like uncomfortably creeping on you. You know, she goes, I know it doesn't happen to guys, but she goes, the number of times when I've had like construction workers like try to follow me off the sides, or she's like, it's so gross. And she was like, I had that feeling, but she's like, I kept looking around and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
You don't mind me asking what friend was supposed to join you?
I was gonna ask.
She goes, guy we lift weights with.
What's
He
his
said
name?
he said he'd been to your club once before. Charlie.
Charlie. Does that name ring a bell at all? No. Okay.
Said I got.
Okay.
We
I'm gonna turn to Vic, like, because like I'm gonna ask for 5 minutes. Like, I'm gonna ask some time alone with Wisteria here. If you want to go back to the club and make sure everything is okay.
That's
Now that
great.
we've gotten her in.
She just gave me a name, so I'm gonna actually go ask Jack about if he knows who the fuck Charlie is.
Yeah, because that's great. So now that you have a name,
yeah, so that's
I'm
fine.
gonna
I was
say,
just about to leave too.
I've got her from here.
Yep, cool. Gone.
Back at the club. Al, you are behind the bar. It's a reasonably busy night. Jen is doing okay. She's no Ruby. But between you and Kennedy, you guys are able to easily handle the people at the bar. Jen is working. She is doing her best to keep up. She seems like she is way more interested in keeping you happy than in keeping Kennedy happy.
Well, I mean, I'm glad I hold her interest. It might make it easier to get information from her.
Yeah, but she needs to be supporting both of the bartenders as a bar back.
Well, did you say she's like giving me more attention as far as between the two of us, or you're just talking about her interest in me?
So she is doing her best to keep everybody stocked and everything like that, but she is significantly more chatty with you, attentive to you.
Okay. As long as she's actually helping both of us, fine, no problem. I don't mind the chatty and the talking. It's the if she's leaving Kennedy in the weeds, then I take issue.
No, and to be fair, Kennedy seems like they are handling the
fish
situation.
and water.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably just maybe pry a little bit, and how long have you been in this life?
She thinks about it for a second. She goes, she's like, the last movie that I remember seeing in theaters when I was. She said it was the second Matrix movie.
Mhm.
3.
2, 3. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so
'Cause before I
It's a
went to
still
long
the
time
still
not to
quite a
remember anything. Wait, are you talking to Kennedy right now?
no,
Or Jen?
no, Jen.
Okay. So she's been a vamp for,
Only about 20 years.
she's
yeah, but
saying
still.
Baby.
that's what
But
she
baby.
says.
Well, yes.
She's like that's. She's like so when however long that was.
It's been about 20 years now. I'm actually quite a fan of those films.
She's like the first one was good.
Yeah, that's what. I don't know.
Second and thirds had their problems. They were not great. They
So,
Hey, don't miss the
how.
metaphor.
I like them. I'm not saying I didn't like them.
Remember the context of the second and third. Sorry.
Um. Well, you seem, really interested in me. So, what would is there anything you'd like to ask me? Get to know me better?
She kind of smirks and she goes, "Bit of an ego on you, don't you?"
Well, between me and Kennedy down there, I do notice you've been hanging out on this side.
She says, "Yeah, well, shoe polish down there isn't nearly as talkative as you are."
Well, it's my first night meeting them as well, so I'll give you that much.
She says, "So, what happened with your old bar back?"
Well, meta question. Would she have possibly been at Elysium?
You have no way of knowing that.
Okay, then I'll bring it up. Um, we had a Elysium called what, a couple weeks ago now.
She's like, "What's that?"
Hmm. Well, if you don't
What
know,
kind of vamp is she?
yeah, I'm trying to play that shock off right now. It's something I can explain later, but let's just call it a meeting. And that meeting was the last time I saw her. So
She's like, "What do you mean? Like, is
she
she
just
dead? Did
she
she?"
literally disappeared.
She's like,
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
like, like her brow is totally furrowed, and she's like, is that like a metaphor for a bad breakup, or did she just like
Well,
walk out on you,
there
or
there was a bit of chaos at this meeting, and in the midst of that chaos, she was gone. And I'm still looking out for her. I've even I'm bullshitting here. I've even contacted her family, and they're trying to help me out in figuring out what happened to her. Uh, she was well loved around here.
Jen's like, oh, she like her family knew about what was going on with her?
Well, there had been some separation, some animosity, and I think they still cared, but she couldn't really, cope with family rules and family dynamics, so she was kind of out on her own for a long time. And I felt that with the disappearance, they had a right to know. So
She goes, that's really shitty. She goes, I'm really sorry you're having to go through that.
thank you very much. I mean, if you ever happen to see someone that looks just like you and it's not in the mirror, please let me know.
She goes, I will do my best. She reaches out and kind of pats you on the shoulder. And when she pats you on the shoulder, that pain behind your eye, and you can hear that lecturing voice again. This time, it's like you caught it a little bit more earlier in the lecture. You hear a very prim voice and says, choice is an evaluation of cost and benefit. Circumstances dictate the evaluation, consequence takes care of the rest. In this sort of system, there can be no right or wrong. The values that we assign to good and evil are meaningless in this life. Aren't we always, sometimes, monsters?
I try to, blow this off as if I'm not, shook. Um, and I turn to Jen and I'm like, but that's my story. Tell me more about you.
She's like, um, not much to it. She's like, I got thrown out of my house, and before then, I was always kind of the little goth girl of the group, and that I was hanging out with. And she says, we used to do stupid shit like go play in graveyards and hang out among, in some of the old abandoned places. And she goes, one night we went and we were going to, and this is so cheesy. She said we were hanging out at an old institution that wasn't an institution anymore. And we were just doing some urban exploration, and I got split up from my group, and I was trying to figure out a way to get out of there, and there was a homeless guy who was in there. And that was the last thing that I remembered. And then I woke up in the sewers, and first time that I tried to climb out, it was still daylight, so you can guess how well that went.
Goodness. So tragic that you didn't, I mean, being turned out that way. You must have been so frightened.
She goes, I was really, really hungry. And when nighttime came, I came out of the sewers and I went back into the institution, and there were other homeless people in there. And
Including the one that attacked you?
she goes, no, I don't know who that is.
It's just awful. I mean, though most of us may not be happy with those that made us, we still know them. There's still a relationship. So I can't imagine what you felt in that moment.
she's like, so that's how I've lived ever since. Getting doing jobs and sometimes and trying to make as much of a life to buy shit and
So she doesn't
being
even know what clan she is. Would there be another way of figuring this out? Meta question.
I mean, the Tremere.
It would be good for them to meet her.
Yes. You know, I actually have some friends that could maybe help us fill in some of the holes in your story in your past, which might help you in the future. Would you be interested in meeting them after work?
She's like, not tonight. She's like, I'm. She's like, I
Already in
don't
battle.
really. She's like, this has been. She's like I'm cool doing this. She's like, but the only other encounters with other people like us, she's like, have rarely been good. So I try to avoid them.
Well, just be warned. They do live around and work on the premises. So, at some point you may run into them. There's, we have a big crew even though we're adding to it. So,
Just got to get bigger. I hate to say it. The direction we're going.
I'm just
About
right now in the back of Alice's head. I'm trying to kind of use some facts to deduce some things, and
Yeah.
nothing's making sense. Like, is she like Idaho, and that's why she doesn't want to necessarily stay in one place in a hotel for 7 nights straight while we're readying an apartment, and is she just bullshitting us till we get to the apartment part, and then she's like, I can't stay here? Is she like? I'm trying to deduce some things, and
Well, as speaking out of character, this may be a little bit more or a little bit easier for you knowing that she is already kindred and she's already into this world. So, like, most kindred would know of other like eating styles and like eating preferences and stuff like that. So that should be something you should be able to ask her outright, and she would be able to tell you, like what her eating preference is, and like so that the club can help cater to her eating
oh, I
preference, or
get what you're
you know,
saying. Okay,
like
so that
you
if we
might
if
be
we
able to,
have hunting parties, we're sending out the right
right.
people together.
Whereas, like where I'm going with Jack right now is he's not in this world at all, so it's going to be a very very different
Right.
conversation and a very different questions I'm going to have to ask to,
Yeah, that might be where I kind of in the conversation is just asking like, well, what is to your tastes? What would be your favorite meal?
she's like, oh, she's like, I usually try to catch them when they're sleeping.
Okay.
Hmm.
She's like, she's like there's been a couple of times where I've caught people who are awake or who were. She goes, it just never ends well. She's like, I just don't need that on my conscience.
I gotcha. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to work and I'll go check in on Kennedy real quick.
She goes back to get you guys some ice. Kennedy glances down, kind of gives you a tip of the hat, and is like, something I can help you with?
Just come and check in. I mean, I fully trust and see that your skills are up to par, if not exceedingly so. But my job is as a supervisor to check in.
See how you're doing, how you feeling, what you're
How do you feel
thinking.
about working with Jen? Has she been adequate in helping you?
They're like, she's a little slow, but she's fun.
Yeah, any help you can give she is training. She is obviously not as experienced as yourself. So any constructive criticism, feel free.
Kennedy looks at you for a really long moment, and then wipes their hands off and says, "My only question that I have for you is purely a personal curiosity one. So, is everything that Nora said true about what happened that night?"
I'm guessing you're referring to Elysium?
Kennedy gives a real brief nod.
Well, I trust Nora, so depending on what specific details you're referring to, yes, she's probably been truthful with you.
Interesting.
What exactly do you find interesting?
Kennedy shakes their head and just kind of looks at you and is like, just curious, just wondering. Sometimes you hear things that are a little, even in our world, that start to sound like the verge of tall tales. Said, but I wasn't there, and they
Well,
kind of give a half-hearted shrug and they go, if Nora says it's true and you're saying it's true, then it must be true, right?
well, at least for the part that I saw with my own eyes. But yeah, were you aware of Ruby?
Kennedy shakes their head and goes, I mean, of course, Ariel mentioned her, talked about her once. But they go, no, I was not aware of your ex. Said, but I am curious what you're going to do if she's not who you think she is anymore.
Well, that's part of my investigation at this point. And it's kind of a two-pronged operation. Looking, still keeping my eyes on searching for who I know to be Ruby and kind of cracking this egg that is Jen and figuring out if there is a connection.
Kennedy goes, wait. She says, they say, you think that they're the same person?
Has he not seen a picture of Ruby? Does he not know anything about her?
They have not said anything about that. Like I said,
Okay. Well, then at that point, I'd
They
pull my
are they.
yeah,
Kennedy is a they.
I'd pull my phone out and show them, the same photo that I would have shown Jen, and point it out. This was Ruby and I.
Kennedy looks and then looks at you and pushes the photo back and goes, "Interesting."
White. I mean, have you ever heard of?
Such a doppelganger.
Yeah. I mean, a perfect copy, but claims to have never heard of Ruby.
Kennedy stares at you for a very long moment and then gives the briefest shake of their head and goes, "Can't say that I have."
Yep. So new for me too, and it's not like I'm a private investigator, so I'm just going off of gut.
At about this point, Jen shows back up and puts ice in Kennedy's well. Kennedy kind of glances at her and then glances at you and says, "Well, not my business."
I'll leave you to it then. At this point, I can't remember. Do the Tremere have a phone or a way of communication?
You would have a couple different ways to get in touch with them, but the most recent way to get in touch with them has been to just go up there and talk to Eugene, since the rest of them are gone.
Okay. What point are we at the evening now?
We'll say 2-ish, 3-ish, somewhere in there.
So things are tapering off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would check in with Kennedy, and if he feels confident working with Jen until we get toward shutdown, I would ask to excuse myself, and I would want to head over there.
Okay, so you're going to head back for the apartments.
Yeah.
As you leave, Jen kind of gives you like a little wave, and she's like, "Well, have a good night."
I'll be back for closing. I just have to run an errand.
Vic, when you return back to the front door from seeing what happened with Michael, what do you do?
I figured this would be a good time to start the interview process with Jack.
He's hanging out with the other two. Where the other two are a lot more good-natured, Jack seems like he's a lot more careful, a lot more
Reserved.
Yeah. He's definitely, keeping an eye on things. He's definitely watching them. It's difficult not to notice that his eyes continue to be drawn to Harvey. And every once in a while, you can see him kind of squinting, like he's studying.
Okay. Yeah, I'll call him into the office for a formal interview.
He comes to the office and sits down in a chair, and he's like, "Interesting crew you got here."
Yeah. Wait till you meet all the barbacks and the bartenders. They're a great crew too. So what do you think of tonight?
He's like, "It's fine." He's like, "Nothing I can't handle."
Figured as much. I figured you'd be able to handle it.
He's like, I mean, it's not like fighting off aunts.
No, did have a weird, curious question that I wouldn't have had to ask you before tonight, but someone that my boss also met in your in your gym
No,
last.
don't tell him about the beat up. Just ask him if he's heard about this dude.
I'm wondering if you know anyone from your gym named Charlie.
He's like, I mean, yeah. He's like, I know a Charlie from the gym. He's like, seems like he's an all right dude.
Okay. Someone that here's all another reason I'm asking this question. I'm going to show you some videos here of Alphonse, because one of the things you may not know is after I left your gym last night, he tried to corner me in the street with a bunch of his boys, and
Jack he nods and he goes, "Yeah, we heard. I heard about it. I heard about it from one of the guys."
yeah, so it didn't turn out so well for him because he had no idea I was holding back in the ring. But it seems like he's put out like a video where he thinks he's gonna,
Clobber me.
he thinks he's gonna come back at me, clap back at me, whatever. It says, but if you can't tell by the hoodie he's wearing, he's trying to hide all the bruises and the beaten up I gave him last night.
Jack watches the video. He's obviously not impressed by Alphonse's, rambling, talk and threats. He kind of eventually is like, I mean, so far he's had 2 shots at it. He hasn't gotten it done yet. So he's like, I don't really know, what he thinks he's got to gain by trying a third time, even, he says, even if, he goes, shits and giggles. He says, shits and giggles, he goes and he, decides that he wants to turn it into like an actual street fight. He wants to, bring a baseball bat or bring a knife or something like that. He's like, I mean, maybe you end up a little worse for it, but unless he catches you straight, unawares.
Yeah, I'm not worried about me. Does he happen to have any connection to Charlie?
He goes, maybe tangentially. I mean, he goes, Charlie's kind of everybody's friend. He's not a bad dude, but he's also a lot of people's hookup.
Steroids.
So like I said, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about Alphonse coming after other people because of me. People that I may not be there to protect. Again, one of the reasons we like to keep out for the underdogs, but there are times that the underdogs, we're not there to protect them, and I'm trying to do everything I can to protect them.
I mean, he's like maybe Alphonse does something stupid, but he's like, I can't. He kind of mulls it over. He's like, it's difficult for me to think that he's gonna be that stupid, that he's gonna go back in. Like, he hasn't been out for that long.
What do you know about Wisteria?
He's like, I don't. He's like, I know who she is. I mean, everybody at the gym knows who she is.
Okay.
And he goes, should be on the fucking U.S. Olympic team. He's like, but she's...
Yeah, no, my boss took a particular liking to her last night. She seems like a real good crowd too. Unfortunately, it seems like she may be targeted. So, like I said, trying to root out for the underdogs, we're just trying to figure out who's targeting her and why.
He's like, I don't know who would target Westy, and frankly, I don't know, like, all she ever does. Like, she's not even all that social. She's got a couple friends who lived with her when she's there, but she's most of the time when she's there, it's her and her spotter, and that's about it, or her and her trainer. Like, I don't think that there's any reason why anybody at the gym would have had beef with her or anything like that.
Okay, like I said, I realize these are weird questions, but me and my boss are both over at the gym last night, and seems like my boss has had some indication that she might have been targeted after exchanging some information with her. So I wasn't sure if you knew anything about that, being from the same gym.
And he goes, no. He goes, Jack's kind of like, is that something that happens to y'all a lot?
No, we were wondering if it was something that happened to your gym. This was
Yes, it does. Let's be real. Let's warn the father of one.
Not yet. We don't want to scare him away.
Sometimes,
Shit.
sometimes we get targeted.
I will say, anyone who goes after the underdogs, it can get targeted. It would not be the first time we've been targeted for standing up for what we believe and for standing up for the little people. But
Ruffling the feathers of those in charge.
but so far we've been able to manage, and right now what we're trying to do is grow our group so that we have, a little bit more to stand up with,
At about this point, Vic, your phone goes off. You have a message from Harvey and Romana. It is Harvey says, "Yo, boss, that squat, stocky motherfucker with the kind of dog-ass looking dude. He's like, they're showing up. They've got some sort of letter or something for Mr. Starwell."
Do I recognize them by the description? Who is he talking about?
I would say you probably have to go check. You could go check it out, or ask for more details, or.
Okay, then at this point, I'll probably let Mark go for tonight. It's already closing.
Jack.
So Jack, sorry. Why do I keep calling him Mark? Where's Mark? I keep calling him. That's not the first time I've called him Mark tonight either.
Like
I keep saying
Mark. That's like at the fourth time.
And I don't know where Mark is coming from. I sorry
Mark
about
is
that.
stupid.
Jack. I'm gonna let Jack go for the night. And then just let him know he can come back tomorrow, and we'll get him more into the job and the training, and then I'll head down and see what the fuck's going on at the front door.
So when you get to the front door, there is, you recognize Hector and Valentin. Hector, both of them, Hector is in a very, very tailored cut suit to his rather massive frame. Valentin is looking, quite frankly, straight up like a fucking Kraven the Hunter cosplayer. Like,
who was Valentin again?
He's bare chested. He's got a vest with like a giant white ruff. He's got leather pants on and combat boots. There are people who are kind of shuffling in and out who are looking at him, making comments. There are more than a few here kitty comments. There's at least, one Liberace is rolling in his grave comment. But when you get up there, Vic, Hector produces a envelope, and it is wax sealed, and
Address to Michael.
Hands it to you and says, "Council meeting."
All right, I'll relay the message. Thank you.
Hector walks off. Valentin kind of looks at you and just kind of rolls his eyes and then walks after Hector.
Whatever, I don't care. I'll go bring the message. I'll go deliver the envelope to Michael.
You can do it like at the end of the night, yeah.
Michael, you are still sitting there in the entryway talking to Westy.
Oh, okay. If she's talking to someone, I won't do it. Then I'll wait until she's done
He.
talking. Sorry, he's done.
He.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. He. Thank you.
Westy is like, what the fuck is going on? She's like, why do I feel this way?
See, you got some splaining to do.
I can explain everything if you accompany me up to my penthouse.
You guys are in the penthouse already.
Very well.
Oh, okay. I thought you said we were in the lobby.
No, in the hallway, the entryway to your hallway into your penthouse.
Oh, no, I had sat her down somewhere, like on the couch, and I'm sitting across from her. Okay, so we're in the penthouse, we're comfortable, and I'd be like, well, as unbelievable as everything in the last few minutes has been, you might find the rest of it equally unbelievable, but somehow true. I don't know how you got here, and it was fortunate that we found you when we did, because you were delivered to us in the dumpster. And for all intents and purposes, you were as good as dead.
She kind of looks down and she's like, I don't understand what happened. She's like, there is this burning hunger in my gut. She says, but like, she's like, I don't feel like I'm about to be dead. Like, I'm not hurt. Like, she looks at like her arms and her body. She's like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Because you are now part of the undead.
She looks at you and then she like bursts out laughing, like guffawing. She's like, okay, good one. Okay, what's really going on?
What's really going on is that you were a extremely fresh corpse. In between you getting off that bus and walking towards us and having somebody follow and stalk you, and then proceed to beat you quite successfully, albeit slowly, to death, and deposit you in my dumpster.
She's
because
why would somebody do that? She's like, that doesn't even make sense. She's like, I don't even have people who I'm professionally rivals with. Like everybody, like all the people I know, I'm on good terms with. Why would somebody beat me to death?
Because I had interest in you. Because somebody saw that there was something about you and decided to send me a message. And for that, I can never, ever make that up for you and will be eternally sorry.
She's like, I don't believe any of this. She's like, why would she's like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would somebody beat me to death, which she gestures to herself is obviously not true, as I'm here right now. She goes, why would somebody beat me to death to because you and I had a conversation? She's like, you run a nightclub. She's like, you have a nice apartment, but she's like, why the fuck would anyone care about you? Why would anyone care enough about you to fuck with me? She's like, that's absurd.
Because I am the Baron of West Philadelphia, West Philly now.
She goes, what? You're the
I am the
what?
Baron of West Philly that rattled and upset the apple cart of vampire in like a vampire government, or no, not government, society.
She looks at you like you have absolutely lost your goddamn mind, and she goes, "This is really, really the most fucked up night that I've had in a really long time." She says, um, "Well, Mr. Baron, I'm gonna go back to being the king of my gym, and uh, she stands up. She's like, I guess good luck with all of this."
At this point, um, I blink to the kitchen.
You hear a hello? What the fuck was that?
Will you join me in the kitchen? I know you are thirsty.
She comes, kind of creeps into the kitchen and is like, okay. What the? She's like, the fuck is that? Like all of a sudden you're here, then you're gone. Like next you're gonna tell me that you mastered Star Trek transporters and Scotty beamed you from the foyer into your kitchen.
No. It's the same as I told you before. I am a vampire. I am an old vampire. I am a baron in vampire society. And in order to try and make up the right of your death merely by my association, I brought you back and now you are my child. And at that point, like I like blink over to another wall and I grab something and I blink back.
She's kind of got her hands on the side of her head and she's like, this is not the day for this. She looks at you and she's like, okay, so you're obviously some sort of magician who is trying to pull a fast one on me and doing nifty tricks.
Make her eat something.
She's like, I'm going to leave now. And she's like, and I'm going to go stop at Hardee's on the way home and go get myself 3 fucking cheeseburgers. And she was like,
At this point, I just pour her a glass of water. I'm like, here, you asked for water before.
she's like, okay, well, thanks. Thanks for the drink before I leave. She slams it. She puts it on the table. She goes, okay, well, thanks for the drink. I'm going. And she turns, and before she takes even 2 steps, like she doubles over in cramps from her stomach and just pukes water and blood just all over your kitchen floor. Now, you are already extremely hungry. So, having had all of this fresh kindred vitae poured out on your floor, I need you to make a rouse check.
Wait, where's my rouse check? Rouse check, I'm
Bottom of
back
the
here.
page.
I'm looking for you. There we are. bottom of the page. Oh yeah, we just did housekeeping. There we are. Hi, went right by it.
Hey.
So
Hi.
you hear your beast in your head. It says, "This ungrateful brat dares to defy the prince, the baron of West Philadelphia, dares to defy the beautiful and powerful Michael Starwell. How dare she? You should eat her now. Undo this mistake." At about this point, Vic gets to your door with the note. What do you, walking in on this, Vic, what do you do?
I just ask if it's a good moment to. Hey, Michael, is this a good moment?
As good as any. I was trying to prove to Wisteria here that vampires exist, and she is in fact one.
Well, speaking of vampires, you have your first council summon.
Ah, shit. And I take the thing.
Westy looks up from the floor at both of you, and she's like holding onto her stomach. She's like, "What the fuck?"
You're undead now.
You need.
Hate to say it, but water and human food won't do anything for you.
She's like looking at the ground, just covered in her blood, and she's like, "I don't think I've ever been this hungry in my entire life."
I don't think you have either. So before the night is over, I will have to take you out for a quick hunt. And I like give her my hand to try and like help her off the floor.
I don't mind helping if you don't mind me joining. Just as.
Yeah, I don't mind helping at all.
So, you guys, she definitely accepts your hand and stands up. Al, what are you doing at this point? You had walked away from your bar to...
I was heading over to speak to whichever Tremere were still around.
So when you get to the door, and do you just walk in? Do you knock? Do you?
No,
How do you?
I'd knock.
When you knock, Eugene opens the door. His skin is basically back to where it should be. His eye, in fact, his dermis, his lips, everything like that looks about where it should be. It's his eye that looks fucked up. You can see where there is, it looks like an eye, except it looks like it's dehydrated and kind of like a compressed like squish ball. It
It's a
hits
raisin.
like it. Yep.
It's a raisin.
It looks like it may be more painful like this than it ever was when it was just gone. And given the fact that he is very pointedly keeping both of his eyes open and not blinking, certainly does not help the monstrousness.
Effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at you with my baby eye.
He looks at you and
Deadpool with
goes,
the baby.
My baby eye.
"Good evening. Is there something that I can help you with?"
Actually have a few questions, and I think you might be the expert to at least hear me out, even if you don't have answers.
He says, "All right, what is the matter?"
Well, you were aware of Ruby, were you not?
He goes, "Yes, we were." Well, I don't believe that we ever spoke personally. He says, "I was indeed aware of the nature of your relationship and who she was."
And you're also aware of what happened to her at Elysium?
He says, "So I have heard less about that, as that was unfortunately about the time that I was dealing with my own problems."
So I guess I would take that moment to really truly fill him in, at least of what happened, my account, what I saw, what
Yeah, like what
happened.
you saw.
He listens. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't even ask any questions. He just listens and lets you tell him. So the question for you is, how much detail do you give him? Do you give him a blow by blow? Is there anything you gloss over? Is there anything that you attempt to keep from him?
I'm thinking back to that night, and I'm not thinking there was anything ultra secretive. I mean, at this point, everything that had happened, I've told everyone else in the coterie, so he could hear any detail from. I imagine I just be truthful, because the more truthful I feel I am with him, he's going to be able to help me figure this out if he can.
Okay, so he listens until you're done. So the next question is, what do you tell him? Do you tell him? Are you just telling him about what happened with Ruby, or are you attempting to also rope in all of the stuff
This
from?
is the lead up to
Okay, so again, so are you telling him everything up to tonight, or are you just telling him starting this off just about what happened that night at Elysium with Ruby?
I would explain Elysium as a subtext to, now we have this new employee that is an exact looker for Ruby. And for all accounts, everything I've asked her, she knows nothing about Ruby, nothing about that now her life. But there's no denying that this is an exact copy of Ruby, and I'm wondering, have you ever heard of anything like this happening before? Any weird body swapping? Um, if Ruby acquired certain new powers, would it have some odd effect? I'm just at a loss and thought maybe you'd have some advice, some answers.
He ponders the question for a moment. He says, "I have thoughts, but none of them are what I would consider comfort."
At this point, I'm not even looking for comfort. I have started to come to terms with the fact that Ruby will never be back.
So, question: would you have also told him about what you found at Ruby's parents' house?
Yes.
Okay, so he he ponders everything for a second. He says, "I'm sure that I do not have to tell you this, but in case this is ever a issue, shall we say, there are many kindred who would say that you owe Ruby a life debt, a lifelong boon that can never truly be repaid. She gave her life for yours.
Well, that would be true if I could communicate with her and at the same time we were supposed to be working together. If she hadn't lost her ever loving shit, yeah, I might be dead, but uh, she wouldn't have had to have jumped Shaw like that.
He he says there are a couple things that you need to know. One, he says, I'm sure you know about diablerie and why it is so frowned upon in our society. Diablerie is a way for those who don't have to covet what those who do. Often it is a way for kindred at the cost of their humanity to ascend to a new plateau, so to speak, gaining the abilities and experiences and power of the kindred that they are draining the life of. There is another reason why diablerie is so severe a crime in kindred society that is much less often spoken of. When the power imbalance is too great, it is entirely possible that the kindred who is being drained ends up in the body of the one draining them.
Mm-hmm.
And is this a cohabitation of the subconsciousnesses, or is it a total takeover?
Says it depends on how long and the circumstances. There's stories of kindred who find themselves being attacked and end up in a brand new, much younger body with new experiences that they can't entirely account for. There are tales of kindred who end up in their new body and find that they are sharing brain space, to use a modern term, with someone else. And often the shock is enough to drive them quite mad.
What if it doesn't? What if it grounds the person in a different life?
Eugene kind of shrugs and says, I have never heard of such a thing, but that does not mean it is not possible.
If you were to meet the person, is there anything further you think you could tell me from the meeting?
He says, I could not know. He says, but I will say this. It is not impossible to undo this.
Ooh.
He says, it would require a great many trials on your part. You would need to find parties who are capable of helping you. You would need to attain things that might be very difficult to find. And there is, of course, the matter of getting this kindred and either convincing them to rescind their ownership of this body or forcibly ejecting them from it. He says, I have only ever heard of one such tale of this happening. And that was a very, very long set of nights for all involved.
What was the outcome?
One of our gods walked among us again. And still does. But that is perhaps a story for another night, and not one that concerns you.
I do appreciate all of what you've
He
told
says,
me, and in its own way, it is a comfort.
he says, there is another possibility. He says, does this ruby clone
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I wish I could wet my
she
pants.
actually like the real thing? Or is she a completely different person?
That's exactly what I'm trying to determine, and one reason I felt to include you and get your advice. So I really, I, in all the in every physical sense, it's Ruby. I mean, this is not some, lovesick, seeing what I want to see. Everyone in the club assumed Ruby walked right in the door.
He puts a hand on your arm and he says, I need you to listen to me very, very carefully. He says, there are some who are so skilled that they can, given the resources and the time to study, that they can make themselves appear to be anyone.
Is this a full physical change or just some kind of glamour?
He says it can be both. He says, I need you to understand that this is something that is potentially a very, very powerful illusion. He says, but it might not be an illusion at all. He said, there are kindred in the world who possess a discipline known as vicissitude. It would be more common among our kind to call it flesh crafting.
Oh shit, it's dude, bro.
Abraham.
I was wondering about him. He's been on my mind for weeks now.
Says it is. He says now it is entirely possible that the most common uses of vicissitude are, shall we say, more horrific in nature.
I've been privy to a couple.
Says, however, there have been tales of kindred who so longed for a lost love, a missing child, a partner gone, that they forcibly disfigured them to make them look like this other person.
Hmm.
Now it takes an expert in this discipline to do so. And this is not a trifling procedure. This is extraordinary pain. This is literally somebody using their thumbs and fingers to remold your bones, your teeth, your nose, your face.
Oof.
To call it traumatic is an understatement.
But it would seem that the motivation to do this would be some kind of longing for that person. And as far as I knew, I was her one and only. So are we saying that someone else cared that much for her to do this?
He says, I could not tell you. And he says, and to that extent, he says, I am not entirely sure why someone would spend this amount of time and expend this amount of power simply to mold somebody painfully and then set them in your path. He says there's too many. He says that doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
There's no logical reason for that.
Other than cruelty.
Or a spy.
Does she have Ruby's mannerisms and like cadence in voice and the way she speaks and her pacing and everything?
Yeah, I kind of wonder that too. Is she that much like her, or is this just a
Like a
literal
face.
copy face?
It's just her face. There's her mannerisms
Okay.
and her behavior are not anything like Ruby.
Okay, then that is important for him to
Okay.
hear.
Yeah, because this person does not behave in the ways that she did, and that's I don't know if that helps to determine anything about this situation, but
He shakes his head and he says, that tells me it is likely not the original.
even like you said, sharing brain space, if the other person she's sharing with is taking over that part of the bodily functions.
He looks at the floor and says, is she acting like Shaw?
No, but I'm paranoid enough to think that Shaw would
Anything's
use
possible.
this to weasel his way into our lives and then do some real damage.
Eugene shakes his head and says, though I have never met the man, says, I am inclined to believe that if he wanted to do damage to you, he would have used the proximity to do it.
You've given me a lot to think about. I do appreciate it. I hope that I can call on you again in the future.
Eugene sighs and he says he says, keep in mind that doppelgangers happen naturally in real life as well. He's like, it is not an uncommon thing for people separated by a literal globe to be wandering down a street somewhere and meet somebody who looks exactly like them.
True, but for both of them to be involved with kindred, or both to have associated with this life, that just seems too odd a coincidence.
He says, improbable, yes, but if there's anything this life has taught me, it's that very little is impossible.
Very true. I guess at that point I would bid my farewell and head back over to help with Countdown.
So, Back in the
Right,
penthouse.
small tangent before I go back into character. I love the story about how we like said that found out that eyewitnesses were not good enough because there was a guy who looked exactly like a guy and they had the exact same first and last name and like the only thing different was their fingerprint. And one guy, the innocent guy, was being charged for the crimes of the other guy.
It happens.
I've heard of that happening with twins
It's
as well. Like identical twins will set each other up and shit.
they were completely unrelated, but almost everything else was exactly the same except like the things you can't be the same as.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah.
back in the penthouse, are you guys taking her out to go hunt?
Yes.
And I'm guessing you're going to need to
I'm
go.
going to definitely give her new clothes and stuff. I have plenty that will fit her. I
Yeah,
figure.
and I offered to be backup for that.
Okay, so so since you are rolling for everybody here, I would say roll 3 white, 3 red, as 2 people in this party are vastly more hungry than you are, Vic.
Okay.
Hold on.
me and Vic are gonna have to get together to discuss Jen, because don't you have the same feeding style?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sleeper? Okay.
Yes, eventually. So yeah, that can be something I can
Okay,
help.
just want to make sure I was confirming that before I started making introductions.
Yeah.
So when you head out,
I can re-roll 2 of those if that helps too.
Yeah, let's do that.
okay.
Whee!
All right.
Zack, is Yoru out there?
Yes, because she's on my
Okay.
tower.
Okay, it
So-
was the air conditioning. Then something moved behind the bed, and I was like,
So
No,
you guys head out and find a party that is just coming out of the club. They're heading off. These are people you've never seen these people before. They look like they're out of towners, bachelor party.
randos.
Yeah, they're completely random. So when you guys fall in, the 3 of you fall in, it doesn't take a whole lot of manipulation to kind of separate them away, a couple of them away from the group, Michael, which is good because frankly you don't have the stomach for it or the time.
Right.
So you manage to get one person for yourself and one person for Westy.
Mm-hmm.
And Vic, you've kind of got your pick of the litter here because you don't need very much.
I don't need anything, honestly. So I'm just kind of helping them at this point. So if any of them
Keep
need,
Westy from over drinking.
yeah.
So
I'm here for more to just make things don't get out of hand.
Jesus Christ, where did you find this?
So, how much do you drink off of yours, Michael?
What?
I was brought a toilet tab by my cat, and I have no idea where in the hell she would have found a toilet tab.
She's like, the toilet's stanky, Mama. Get in here and clean this.
Jesus Christ. Like, I'm like, where is there an open box of toilet tabs in this fucking house? Like, just, I'm.
Cats. I can't tell you how many times me and Pixie have woken up to just like cat blank. So
I'm going to please ask you to repeat that last bit because my shock had taken over.
And it's how much you drink.
How much do you drink?
Oh, what level am I at?
You were.
I'm at like
4.
a 3.
No, you're.
I was at a 4.
Mhm.
Shit. All right, I'm gonna take 2 off of this individual.
Okay, so you're drinking down to 2.
How
Westy,
many people do we have?
Westy does not seem like when her fangs come out, there is a moment of shock. the guy who is in front of her sees this, and there's a "oh, what the fuck" moment. And he, as he attempts to scramble away from her, she bites down and sinks her fangs into him. Right, let's say on the side of his abdomen.
What? How?
He was trying to get away.
Oh, so she tackles him.
Yeah, so she just
As
Just like dives at him and like.
she bared her fangs before
Yeah.
as she's drinking, she keeps like spitting it on the ground, and she keeps saying, "So hungry."
Why is she spitting it on the ground?
She bites in and rips and just tears open his sides. And she is reaching in and like pulling his internal organs out. And she grabs on to his liver, and she just like takes a giant chunk out of it. And she's just like, "Oh my god, this is the best
Hannibal.
thing I've ever tasted."
I do a quick sense the unseen.
There's nobody else there.
Okay.
But this dude's dead. Like this dude.
Yeah, that dude is dead, and now I have to kill.
Shit, so much for me coming along.
Yeah, right. I do not. Nobody.
What were you
expected
good for?
Who was good for anything? Who expected that? I'm gonna say like Vic, grab them both. Let's get out of here. Let's go deeper into the alleyway. Like move out of the move deeper into the shadows so we can deal with this whole fiasco.
She is still. Well, you guys aren't in the shadows. You guys are in like a bathroom, and she is like got this. She is like chowing down on this guy's internal organs.
Oh my god.
I at this point will drain the other guy.
Okay, so you're just gonna completely drain him?
Yeah, because at this point, like I'm like he's probably freaking out because his friend just got like chomped into.
The guy, he is actually not freaking out because he was too busy being like in total ecstasy from you. So he had not fully come to appreciate what was going on nearby.
I'm gonna drain one more off of him just so we can knock him out.
All right. So you're down to a 1. He's unconscious, and you have a brand new body that you're going to need to deal with. This seems like an excellent time for our session, though certainly not our to come to a close.
Yeah, thought.
Oh man.
What are we thinking, chat? Goodness. Lot of shit tonight.
Wow.
A lot of new peoples.
What do you think, Truffles?
XP has been awarded.
Maybe.
Well, I'm kind of speechless. There's a lot to take in talking to Eugene.
Yeah.
It just seemed like every time he presented something that kind of fit, he would then say something else that was like also kind of fitting, and then he'd be like, "But also it's this," and I'm just like,
"There could be this, or it could be this."
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one is it?
So I'm interested to see how we investigate.
And in case you are wondering who it was that was brought back from the dead, it was Mithras.
That name doesn't ring a bell. Mithras.
You're speaking when they said they brought a god back?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is
Okay,
He
that was
is-
the god brought back.
he is a Ventru Methuselah who claimed London as his domain for close to 2 millennia.
So Jack the Ripper. I mean, it could fit in
Well,
that timeline.
Don't know. 2 millennia. Yeah, anything in the last 2,000
Nobody.
years would fit in Jack the Ripper's timeline. So,
Mith-
How
Mithras
old is
came.
Eugene?
Mithras came to Britain in the 1st century CE with the invasion force led by Aulus Claudius under Emperor Claudius. Established the Roman province of Britannia as his own private domain.
Amazing.
Although over the following centuries he continued to travel widely, he always named Londinium as his home, and he'd suffer no contests over his territory. Other kindred could dwell in Britain, but only if they accepted his absolute authority.
I like the style.
Mithras established the blood laws for his kindred subjects long before the Camarillus formation, and in fact many believe these were appropriated by the Camarillus founders for their own tradition centuries later.
Interesting.
Bunch of posers.
interesting.
Mithras observed the formation of the Camarilla with interest, but did not participate in the Convention of Thorns. Opera preferred to operate independently, although his interests often aligned with theirs.
But not always. Interesting.
Weird.
That story, The Fall of London, is a campaign all to itself.
Oh, okay. I think I've
Ooh.
heard that name. I think.
I've heard of the Fall of London.
Yeah, I don't know if it's another stream or just like I saw the book somewhere, but yeah, I've heard that.
That is a story of several kindred who got back together to raise Mithras from the dead.
Okay, so this is a product of that campaign.
Okay.
You know what we need though is a group. Little vacation,
Well,
like what we do
Yeah,
in the
that would be lovely.
shadows. We're just gonna pick up a little group of us and go off to London, do a little London. Well, I think we could raise some havoc.
Do we need permission to go to London?
Yeah,
like we did to New York.
abandoning the homestead when everything is chaotic is really just exactly.
Well, after
No,
all
I
of
didn't.
this, we will even more so need a vacation.
Agree. That is to be
After
noted
all
and
this,
very
yes.
agree. But right now,
So,
we
XP has
take
been
a
awarded.
vacation when shit's
Awesome.
falling around.
If anybody needs to spend their XP between now and then,
I might. Who knows? Let me see. What do I have? Oh, 12? Maybe not. Maybe not.
Save them up, boy.
Right? Figure it out.
Well, I will sign off for tonight. I want to thank my crew for sticking with me, everybody in the chat, and then also my team here tonight. Knox, our storyteller, Zack, who plays Vic, Martha is our Michael, and I'm your Alice. I will see you guys tomorrow at noon Central for City of Heroes. And yeah, love to team up with some of you guys again. So see you guys later. Signing off for now. And we'll raid out to a friend. So take care, everybody. Bye.